What's up?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Asian Love. Here we passionately and excitedly debate, explore, and review topics about religion, science, history, and current events. And today's current event is obviously Cinco de Mayo. Feliz Cinco de Mayo. Okay, I'm going to say it in an Argentinian accent because that was my very Americanized accent. Cinco de Mayo. There you go.
Oh, you got to pronounce it like that, huh?
Yeah. That's like
Yeah, I like
almost,
that too. That's almost
almost.
Italian, isn't it? I
Right.
mean,
Well,
all
I am 40% Italian. I can do the Italian, guys, because it's
right,
in
we'll
my
let it
blood.
slide.
It's in my blood. It's in my blood. So we have also it's cognitive echo Joy's birthday. Happy birthday!
It is my
Woo!
birthday, so I appreciate everybody that's hanging out with us today. But I'm
And
trying not to
obviously,
think about being a year older, but it's cool. I survived another trip around the sun, so I'm good with that.
we could say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we have a sacrificial lamb who we've had on the show before, and he's joining us again with the actual sacrificial lamb. I guess, does he have another name? Is that his name too?
uh, Caleb Beyond was saying that we should name him Jesus.
Jesus. I
Jesus.
like that.
I like that.
Jesus.
I like that. Yeah, but with
I don't
with
know.
the
We'll
Hispanic
talk about it.
accent. Yeah,
Jesus.
Just for today too, it's perfect. I mean, for Cinco de Mayo, so yeah,
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 yeah.
I'm good
That's
with that.
actually pretty fitting.
for today.
For them. So, Joe, what did you do for your birthday? I mean,
I,
obviously, your birthday's today, so you worked. But what did you do
Yeah,
with
today
the
I
weekend, I
didn't do
guess?
much, but I had a good weekend. Yeah, we partied pretty hard for the weekend, and I don't drink much, very rarely these days, and I drink quite a bit on Saturday, and it was a good time. We went out, we played pool, we played some foosball, some cornhole at a local brewery, and yeah, just hung out. We ate a bunch of food. I ate way too much food, like for the
Oh
whole
yeah,
day. I thought I was gonna like not be able to breathe by the end of the night.
like the first round, it was at this place that has like a little middle area with tables, but then all around it is like restaurants and like other type of uh businesses. So everybody just picked whatever they wanted to eat, and Joe had
I ordered
some.
from multiple places. I ordered from the
Yeah,
Mexican restaurant. I ordered from the Italian place. I ordered from the Vietnamese place.
Vietnamese food.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
and
I ate like 3 meals like at one time.
all in one.
Mm.
And nobody else wanted, like, you ordered like a sandwich from the Vietnamese place, and nobody else wanted to eat it, so you ate the whole thing.
It was really good though. It
Um,
was like I would say it was like a faux sandwich because it was like sliced brisket with like the stuff you would get like in a faux, like basil, what is it, cilantro, onions, and then it had like a faux sauce you would dip it in, like a aju, or I think that's how you would say it. It was really good.
I
I would
do.
definitely aju aju.
Achoo. There
Yeah,
you
so it
go.
was good. It was good.
Yes, pretty
Definitely too
good.
much food. So I yeah, I had a good birthday. Appreciate you asking.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Yeah, and yesterday we were supposed to go out for breakfast, but I think we were both moving a little slow from Saturday. So we decided to just stay home and chill instead, because that was too much partying 2 days in a row. We're not in our 20s
Not
anymore.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Not in my 20s anymore.
Despite our beautiful looks, we are not in our
I
20s.
I am mentally so.
Yeah. Hey, I think we're all still young inside, but it's like you try to keep that going, but your body's like continually like falling apart and degrading.
Yeah.
It's like
I feel you. I feel you. I was like drinking throughout the day. I was trying to pace myself so I wouldn't get too drunk or anything. But then at the end, peer pressure, and they were like, let's take some shots. So we took some tequila. It was tequila, right? I think.
yeah, it was like the
Yeah.
restaurant we were at, they had like top shelf tequila that was like normally like I think he said $45 a shot, but it was like $15 a shot. And she took one of those, and I could tell she felt that after she took that shot.
Yeah, it was
I can
strong.
burn too.
Yeah, it was smooth going down, but yeah, it was obviously a lot stronger than usual. Yeah,
Yeah, breathing fire.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
I think last time we drank that much was probably Dan's wedding.
Dan's wedding, yeah, yeah,
Yep.
for sure. It
We
was.
all had a good time then too. Yeah.
Yeah, that
Oh
was a fun
man,
time.
yeah, for sure. I will have a party like that again. So let's see what's been going on around the world. Joe was talking about, so I do another show called The Nonprofits, which is run by the ACA. You guys are familiar with it, I'm sure. And we cover like articles about, current articles, like relatively new from the past week, and we talk about it. But the show's not live. It's usually recorded, and then you have a lot of time to prepare for, like, make your notes and research the topic. So we figured it would be kind of fun to instead do a live, more of a live reaction to some articles about
Nice.
Trump
Okay,
protesting.
current news events you're gonna be showing us because yeah, I had no idea what you had planned for the show. I'm
Hmm.
always coming into it blindsided, but it's always good like that.
Joe just comes in and sits there. He's
She
kind of like
puts like
another guest.
hours, yeah, she puts hours into like prepping, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's cool. I'll just come and sit down.
But I'm always like, right before the show, I'm like, "Hey, are you bringing anything? Is there any topic you want to talk about?" And he's like, I don't know." So I'm just
Yeah,
like,
I'm just the co-host here. I'm just here to like keep conversation going.
alright. So like we can do like, okay. So I know we had another topic that we wanted to talk about, but we're gonna wait a little bit because we are probably gonna have another guest in like maybe like 20 minutes. So let's do an article and see what's up. And if he
Alright.
ends up letting me know that he's not gonna make it, then we'll move on and do the whole other topic that we have prepared. But for now, we're gonna check out this news. All right, I'm gonna let you guys pick. Okay, I have three articles. One is about due process. Trump saying that he doesn't know if he can follow due process. The second one is where they're asking people to self-deport. Like, it's about that topic.
Yeah, and I
And
saw that today. So yeah.
you want to do that one?
Oh no, what else? So that's two.
Yeah.
How many you got to
Yeah.
choose from?
The third one is called Brain Drain, which is about other countries, I guess, taking advantage of the fact that the administration is taking back funding from universities and from science. So they were like trying to attract scientists to their countries.
Hmm. I mean, all three are great topics, actually. I think that one's more serious and like, well, I guess all three are fairly serious, actually.
Yeah, it's true. Or we could do the Alcatraz screenshot.
Oh my goodness,
Okay.
Trump. Yeah, you heard about that, right, Greg?
Not really, or at least like it doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, so
The screenshot.
well, no,
Okay,
about Alcatraz, about what he
the
wants to
prison.
yeah, he wants to reopen Alcatraz prison basically and use it to send, all the worst of the worst to the
All right,
island.
let's look at this screenshot
Sure.
then. Okay. Then we're gonna react to it. So it's uh hold up, cause my all right, I think I found it. All right, so you can see it right
All
there.
right, read it in your Trump voice for us. Come on.
It doesn't start off with
So
you. Oh, let's see.
Say,
okay,
and she pointed out to me last night how he uses like capitalization and capital letters on certain words, and I told her that's he like the main words he wants to stick out, like misery and suffering, criminal offenders.
oh yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna read it for like people that may not, that may just be listening and not watching. So this is on the screen. We have a screenshot directly from Trump's Truth Social. I think it is correct.
Yeah, True Social.
All right. So it says rebuild and open Alcatraz. For too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society, who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. When we were a more serious nation in the past, okay, I have comments about that, but I'm going to read the whole thing first. Um, we did not hesitate to lock up the most dangerous criminals and keep them far away from anyone they could harm. That's the way it's supposed to be. No longer will we tolerate these serial offenders who spread filth, bloodshed, and mayhem on our streets. That is why today I am directing the Bureau of Prisons, together with the Department of Justice, FBI, and Homeland Security, to reopen and substantially and rebuild. Okay, this is really bothering me because he's using past tense, even though he's speaking
Mm,
about future action.
Well, Trump.
Yeah,
mm,
Alcatraz to open, I'm sorry, to house America's most ruthless and violent offenders. We will no longer be held hostage to criminals, thugs, and judges that are afraid to do their job and allow us to remove criminals who come into our country illegally. The reopening of Alcatraz will serve as a symbol of law, order, and justice. We will make America great again. So first of all, why is the focus Alcatraz and all caps on every single thing? Like, dude, that is where you capitalize the A only, not the full word, right?
Yeah, but like I told you, he uses it for it's like his technique to make words stick out, like certain words that
yeah,
he wants your mind to comprehend
focus
and
on.
yeah, to focus basically. Even if you might
Yeah,
not even like think you're focusing on those words more, you are just because like your mind's recognizing those capital
Yeah,
letters.
your eyes are attracted to those capital letters to focus on
Yeah.
it easier.
that's true. Like if this, like the people that support him and follow him,
They don't even read all of
they
it. They
more
just
than
read the capital
likely
letters like headlines.
Yeah,
they're
so if you
like,
just
who's the
yeah.
title or something?
So if
Yeah,
you just read only the capitalized stuff, it would be rebuild and open Alcatraz, and then you go criminal offenders,
yeah, like
misery
right
and
there's
suffering,
your yeah.
Alcatraz, make America great again, law, order, justice. So all those things sound like you're
Yeah.
tough
The
on. You're gonna
okay,
bring.
I feel like down here he may be remembering middle school grammar where they told him, "Hey, you gotta capitalize the names of countries." So he thought that he also had to capitalize the word country. Maybe I mean he's
That's a
on the road there.
possibility.
He was a
No,
little bit
Well,
on the road there. But anyways, as far
it,
as
thinking
the
of him as Trump, it should have been like capitalize, like all caps, our country, which is surprising that he didn't do that.
yeah, that's true.
that's true, yeah, yeah, I would have imagined that he would have done that because it's America first. Our yeah,
Like our country.
Yeah,
yeah. But that's funny. What's funny is up here it says when we were a more serious nation, and that makes me laugh because I'm pretty sure he's probably referring to like, oh, Biden made us the laughing stock of the world, which is something that he's said before, and so he's probably referring to that. But it's ironic because he's the one that's making us not be a serious country. So
yeah,
uh, without even realizing it, he's also saying that our country is not a serious place right now under his uh, leadership, if we can call it that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, what and the way that that he uses that though is a serious nation. I agree. Like right now, like most other nations don't take America like serious right now with him as a leader, just because like he comes up with like the most ignorant, stupid stuff to focus on. It's horrible.
right. Yeah, it's just crazy. So yeah, I lost my screenshot thingy. Okay, found it. So yeah, I don't know. It was like
Well, you were
yesterday or the
talking
day
to me.
before.
You were mentioning about rehabilitation, right? That's what you were discussing with me last night when we looked at
Oh
this.
yeah, yeah. One second. I was gonna mention something that makes us less serious nation, and that's the fact that the White House is sharing from their official um, Twitter or X page Trump's personal page posts where he posted an AI image of himself as the Pope, but the White House page shared this. That is just like, I don't care what Trump posts on his personal page. He can post a picture of his golden toilet, and that's fine because that's his personal stuff, right? But when you're talking about like the countries, the page that represents the uppermost leadership of our entire country sharing memes, it's like, what are we?
A
I
joke.
don't know.
Yeah, it is. It
Yeah.
makes us a laughing joke. That's like the only thing you need to say. It's true. I
They
mean,
might
it's
just want to rename it the meme house, the
the
page,
meme
you know,
house.
the meme house.
Oh man, yeah. But it makes you wonder, like when you see things like sent out over his social, his like the main social media accounts for the presidency. Is do you think these people don't want to do that, and he throws a temper tantrum like saying that they have to send those things out? I wonder if he gets any pushback on that from
If you
anyone.
don't send this out, you're fired.
Yeah, yeah. I could see him being like that, like definitely
But
making sure that like if you don't do this, then you can't work for me. Yeah, you're out of here.
Hmm.
that's true. Yeah, like who is controlling the page anyway?
I have no idea.
That is a good question, but yeah. Yeah, anyway, so Joe was saying about a comment that I made last night when we were reading this, and I was like, I started reading it, and I was like, okay. It says, for too long, America has been plagued by vicious, violent, and repeat criminal offenders, the dregs of society, who will never contribute anything other than misery and suffering. And I was like, that's literally the first sentence, and I am already having red flags because why is this? Why do we have that situation, right? Why do we have so many people who are, as he calls them, repeat offenders? Which is true, it's correct. Like people go to jail, they come out, and they go back for the exact same crimes that they had already committed before in the first time that they went to jail. And the reason this happens is because we send them to jail with the purpose of just throwing them in there, throwing away the key, and then that's it. Picking up their taxpayer money that covers their stay there, and we do absolutely nothing to rehabilitate these people, to make sure that when they rejoin society, they can be a productive part of society and not repeat offenders over and over again. So to put all of the blame completely on these people is just not fair. Am I trying to define criminals? No. But I feel like people are usually like their brain or their behavior is shaped by their environment, their upbringing, and sometimes they don't have the resources to know any better. So a lot of them commit these crimes and then repeat them because it's the only life that they know. So being able to like find those people, and you have them already, you have them in jail, so that's your chance to
To
use the
reform, yeah,
taxpayer
yeah.
money. Yeah, to use that taxpayer money that you're using for who knows what else, to
Well,
making sure that these people come back out. Yeah,
I definitely see what you're saying, AJ, but I do agree to that to a point, but I also think that there's different levels of offenses as well. Like it depends on the offense. Like yes, you can be a
yeah,
repeat offender of like of a misdemeanor or even a low class felony, and you can be reformed. But if you went in like on a shooting spree and like killed a bunch of people and you're a serial, some type of serial killer or something, I mean, I think that's like could be considered separate. Those type of people should not be given a second chance. But like someone who got arrested for for pot, or even an aggravated assault when they were in their teens, or their early 20s, and they, got a felony, and then society deems them as a nuisance the rest of their life. If you have any type of felony on your record, nobody wants to hire you. We don't Society doesn't give people, that second chance to try to even come back into society, to be able to earn money and to be able to follow the rules of society properly, because you can't get a decent job when you have a felony. No one really wants to give people a second chance.
Yeah, like we could have different programs that separate or determine rather who people are, who of which ones of these people are eligible for, I don't know, a program that helps them rehabilitate. Like you said, if you have a very minor offense, I don't know, even a violent offense like robbery or something like that, like you more than likely could be reformed and
Yeah,
returned to society.
I think so. Yeah.
Um, so for like the more violent, more like extreme violent or like sex offenders and all of that, there could be different requirements. There could be different programs, like more focus on like therapy or stuff like that, and for them to have to pass some kind of um, I don't know if I would say test, but like okay, I don't have the whole solution right here. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
but like
Well, I know
we
that
could have
some
them.
the prison systems do offer people to continue their education. I know they do like GED programs. I don't think you can take like college type classes in prison. I don't know that. Actually, that's something I want to look into. That would be interesting to know.
Yeah.
Um, but you have a lot of prisoners that are saved through religion too, and they let religion in prisons.
Yeah.
Is that reforming people when they come out? I mean, I don't know. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't think that's the kind of reform we want. I don't know about you. What do you think, Sacrificial Lamb?
Yeah, that's a reformation. I wouldn't want either. Like, people don't even need to go to prison for that to happen. Like, just don't conform to it anyway in the first place. But
Yeah,
That's a
okay.
whole nother topic. I know for sure.
yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah. We're gonna have a whole episode on that one. Yeah, but like this kind of stuff, like he wants to open Alcatraz because he knows the name triggers something in people. Like
It
people
resonates in
know
people.
it.
Yeah, you think of Alcatraz, you think of like the worst prison ever. It's like
I've been trying to think of
an
the prison
icon.
that's on SVU or something like that, of where they send the worst people to prison, or the worst prison, you know,
Guantanamo
something
or no?
island, something island or something. I can't think
Uh,
of what it's called.
are you talking about Guantanamo Bay?
No,
Maybe.
no. But are you talking about it like a U.S. prison, like a federal prison, or are you talking
Uh,
another country?
I think it's U.S. I think it's in New York or something. I'm talking about like I only know this from
Uh,
watching not Criminal Minds, SVU, Law and Order or whatever.
yeah, I know they do
Uh,
have a detention center that's like on an island in the middle of
yeah,
the bay
Oh,
there.
and they
okay.
call it
Is
Rikers
it?
Island.
Yeah, Pikers. That's what I was gonna say.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah. That
Rikers,
that sounds right.
Rikers, Rikers.
Rikers.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. That sounds
they,
right then.
they referred to it multiple times every once in a while.
Yeah,
You
that's
know,
like a super max prison. I'm
Okay,
assuming.
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, okay.
I
I
know
was
what I'm
looking
talking
it up.
about. I've
Yeah,
seen
that's
SVU. Okay.
Like, seen it on there. Well, I mean, I wonder what's the percentage of private owned prisons versus like federally owned prisons. I think the private is. Can you look that up, AJ? I'm curious.
I am.
Mm.
uh, it says in the United States, approximately 11% of prisoners are held in federal prisons. The remaining 89% are housed in state-run facilities, with a small percentage in private prisons. But state housed will be, I'm sorry, state-run. Mm, 8% of the total state and federal prison population is housed in private for-profit prisons. I thought it was a whole lot more.
Yeah, that seems kind of
Mm.
low.
So it's almost 100,000 individuals though that are in those private prisons. Interesting. Yeah, I would have expected the number to be a lot higher than that. But federally funded prisons doesn't sound like a whole lot better either.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, I was just curious because I mean, when you have like the for-profit prisons, I think they use labor, I believe, for the prison population. They're able to do that in order to make money. They'll be manufacturing something or have them, building license plates or whatever that you used to see like in the movies. But yeah, I
Yeah,
mean they make
the stereotypic thing.
yeah, but yeah, they're making money from that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think the fact that he's trying to reopen this, obviously, he's
It
kind of
doesn't
look.
even
I'm
make
sure
sense.
he's.
I mean, the cost to reopen Alcatraz would be like substantial if you really
Well,
think
just taking
about it.
out the taxpayers' money and or whatever that add more debt to America.
Well, I mean, one of the reasons that it closed in the first place was because of the actual operation expense costs, like to supply it and
Yeah,
transporting supplies back and forth is just like so much more expensive than a prison that's on land. Um,
I don't
so
think
that
he
was
cares about
he
you taking
doesn't.
other people's money.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it doesn't
He's
make
not
any
paying
sense.
for
Right, right. The
Yeah.
MAGA supporters will pay for it. Or maybe he'll
Yeah,
make
go pay.
Canada he'll make
Go.
Canada pay for it or make Mexico pay for it.
I was gonna say, he'll make MAGA people pay for it, and they won't even know that they're paying for it. You
Right,
know,
right.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because he's trying to. He did the whole doji thing to be able to save money for people. But then now he's spending all that saved money on all this kind of crap to like reopen another prison and to send people, immigrants away. And
Like whoop oh yeah, we didn't get on that topic yet. That was the other news article
oh
um
yeah, and
about him offering the $1,000 and a free plane ticket for those that want to self-deport.
yeah, let's bring that one up. Let me see. I'm gonna share that. Mm,
is it possible for U.S. citizens to self-deport and get that $1,000?
Right, right. That's a good question, man.
good question. Yeah, yeah, that would be interesting.
And you get a free plane
And
ticket to wherever you want to go
Right,
too. Yeah.
right.
yeah, like, can we go to Canada maybe?
So it says
You
pushing
still have to pay
forward.
U.S. taxes though, even if you're a citizen of another country.
Oh
If
yeah,
you try to like live somewhere else and be a citizen in Canada, you still got to pay U.S. taxes.
yeah,
Um,
that's true. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't really mind.
So he's saying they would pay $1,000 to immigrants who are in the United States illegally and return to their home country voluntarily. It said Department of
does this
Homeland
count as
Security
Native
said
Americans too?
right, in a news release that it would also pay for travel assistance. So they're basically gonna, buy the plane ticket back to your country and you get $1,000.
Yeah.
I don't know how
Yeah.
well this is gonna work. I mean, I don't know.
Are you continuing to read
Oh, I
this?
can finish it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
You want me to finish it? Yeah. So they also pay for travel assistance, and that people who use an app called CBP Home to tell the government they plan to return home will be deprioritized for detention and removal by immigration enforcement. If you're here illegally, self-deportation is the best, safest, and most cost-effective way to leave the United States to avoid arrest. I mean, it's the safest way and most effective. We're not going to beat you down. We're not going to lock you up, and throw the key away. Go ahead and just self-deport. Um, DHS is now offering illegal aliens financial travel assistance and a stipend to return to their home country through the CBP Home app. The department said it had already paid for a plane ticket for one migrant to return home to Honduras from Chicago and said more tickets have been booked for this week and next. So, I mean, it's the thing to do. It's already catching on. I mean, looks like everyone's already self deporting. We're going to be good.
Yeah, I feel like at first, so in the first like month or two after he came into office, I feel like a lot of the deportations that they were doing were just the average, but they were televising them so that people would see them and think that there were a lot more. But now they're getting a lot more like into people's homes where they weren't supposed to be, sending people who had no criminal record, 2-year-old toddlers, separating toddlers with cancer, separating moms and dads from the babies, and all of these other extremely inhumane deportations, or like um, preventing people from coming in who were I don't know. There was this one scientist, I think she was coming from France, and she had a visa and everything, but they claimed that she did not have something packaged the correct way in her bag, like some scientific research stuff that she was transporting, and so for that they stopped her at the border, took away her visa, and she wasn't able to come in.
That's just
Um,
wild.
but then later on, they discovered that she had in the past spoken uh, in support of Palestine. So they think that it had to do with that rather than anything else, like her research or anything like that. So yeah, I mean, like I feel like they were using all of those things to make people scared, and so the people that are here illegally now they're hearing, oh, they're gonna give you a few crumbs so that you can buy yourself a sandwich when you get home, and you can go wherever you came from, like without the fear of ending up nowhere or ending up in these crazy prisons in Venezuela where your family and your lawyer don't even have access to you, and you completely disappear from the face of the earth and from the record. So I feel like that's why they're doing that.
So it kind of seems like they're pushing this fear tactic to try to throw fear, so they're presenting like these scenarios of how harsh they'll be to like deport, to find you and deport you. And then they come out offering this like really like nice message, like, oh, go ahead, and if you self-deport, then you'll be safe, it'll be a safe process. So they're basically trying to, it seems like they're using mind manipulation on this campaign.
As Green Day would say, it's the mind fuck America.
Mind fuck America. I was trying to find a video I saw today, when you were talking about the deporting children with cancer. So that's based on there was a child that was an American citizen, right? And they were going to deport. Well, they actually did deport them, I believe. Is that correct or no? Is that what you were talking about or referring to, AJ?
Uh,
Because I
that
saw today they were in front of like I don't know if it was Congress. I don't know. It was some
uh,
type of panel, and it was Republicans and Democrats, quite a few of them, and
maybe it's
they were
this
they
what.
were asking on record if they were asking on record who in the chamber supports deporting kids with cancer. Oh no, who would be against? Raise your hand if you're
Oh yeah,
against deporting American citizens, children with cancer. Stand up and raise your hand. And only
Mhm.
the Democrats raised
Democrats.
their hand. All the Republicans, none of them raised their hand.
Not one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I
you
saw that.
saw that.
Oh wow, okay, yeah, no,
He
I
saved
had
it
not
too.
seen that.
Yeah, I can't
You
find
saw
the video
that?
though.
Okay.
You saw it. You said, Greg, right? You seen that?
Yeah,
That okay.
yeah. I saved it on TikTok. Later, if I find it, I'll send it to you.
That's cool. Yeah. And then they asked them twice and they reworded it in a different like
Yeah.
way, and still only the Democrats raised their hand.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting. Yeah.
That just shows like how much of a ass licker they are
Okay.
to Trump.
Oh
It's how
yeah,
divided we are.
Hmm. Yeah,
that's
it's
very
scary.
true.
It's very scary that the country is that divided. There's like no reaching across the aisle to like work on anything. It's like a
Yeah.
complete division.
Yeah, it's like I feel like both sides feel that if they show any weakness or any, okay, obviously the Democrats are usually more willing to work on bipartisan bills and stuff, uh, but they both in their own ways often, I think, are afraid to show support for the other side in the fear that people would think that they are crossing over to the other side, you know. But you do see more often than not Democrats voting against, not on party lines, on things that are, that are important. So anyway, this thing says that, yeah, like what I was just saying, that they were putting together this self deportation push along with television ads threatening action against people in the US illegally, and social media images showing immigration enforcement arrests and immigrants being sent to a prison in El Salvador. I'm sorry, I said Venezuela earlier. That was my bad. It was the prison in El Salvador. Um,
Yeah, that's the prison that Trump asked. I can't remember is it their prime minister or their president? He was here and
President.
yeah, okay. So that he asked, well, Trump asked him to build more prisons for him to send Americans there, our worst of the worst. Yeah,
So it
it's
says that they ask him if people that self deport will eventually get the chance to come back legally if they're good people and love our country. And he said, and if they aren't, they won't. What is that? Like some kind of threat?
like how do you determine, it's like because you
Like,
don't hold this certain
yeah,
view, then you don't love our country. Like, what's the definition of our country? It's like it's like
Like,
I could love our country and I might not agree with like half the shit that they're trying to do right now.
yeah.
It's like
I mean, a lot of people that are American citizens don't love their country, but they still stay here, try to fight, for to
yeah.
change
Yeah, you
America.
you don't love you don't love I think you love no, I don't know. I guess it's a hard thing to say because like
well,
I love my country, but I don't love some of the things my country has
Yeah,
done, but I love
yeah,
what I know my country is capable of based on
yeah,
on the freedoms that we do have.
yeah,
And yeah, but I agree what
and
you said
and the
that
freedoms that we can create.
yeah.
It's,
yeah, because we are having a lot of freedoms taken away, but that means that for some time, not, I won't say a long time, but for some time, we've enjoyed a lot of freedoms that other places don't. And
Mhm.
so to see them being taken away, it hurts. And people want to stay because they do believe that this can go back to being somewhere where those freedoms are respected. And I hate that sounded kind of like this whole "Make America Great Again." I didn't mean to do that.
I was mentally hearing it, and I was like, "Don't say it, don't say it."
I was like, as I was saying it, I was like, "Oh shit, that kind of
That's
sounds
where
like
I'm going. That's where I'm going.
my
Uh,
apologies." What I mean to say. Okay, so I came here about 20 years ago, and I think my parents believed in that whole American dream, ideology. And the reason is because in Argentina, we didn't have a lot of the rights and freedoms that we came here to have. And once we came here, we had them. So having seen what it could be like outside of the US, we can appreciate that those things were available here. And now seeing them taken away, it's like, oh shit, like we came because this was what we liked about this place. And now it's, kind of like being taken down uh, to the path of the place that we came from. So,
Yeah, like you kind of see it going in that direction, like
yeah.
basically of I can't say that word right.
Yeah,
Authoritarianism.
you got
I'm mispronouncing it. But yeah, I mean, it is scary that you recognize that and you're able to see that pattern.
Hmm.
And we're blinded by it, I guess. Where a lot of people were like, I don't understand why so many people can't see it from the outside, I guess, because we're inside, so these people can't see it. But
It's a
I don't
different
know.
perspective, but they
Yeah,
see it from a different lens than we do.
man.
So yeah, so they see things differently, and that's how like I understand. Like I don't agree with them, but I understand where they're coming from. So and I think that's what we. I like to think that that's how we need to view each other. Like everyone is like see where they're coming from, but also try to make each other like understand, like have that conversation to
To
get.
be able to understand each other's perspectives and
Yeah,
basically, right? But without like blocking it out and like arguing
yeah,
about it, but like
yeah,
actually like comprehending it and
yeah,
analyzing it, I guess, and
yeah,
trying to see where they're actually coming from and maybe
yeah.
be able to like discuss it and show them something that they weren't seeing from their
Mhm.
view to make them
yeah,
change it. Because yeah, that's how you change someone's view, is by showing them some different information that they weren't aware of. But it's always like whether they're going to accept what you're telling them as as true or not, or something that they should see valid. That's always the problem.
Yeah, and I was talking to like Caleb Beyond the other day, last night or whatever. Like my thoughts on this is that like to teach someone or to have these conversations to change someone's mind, it just like a debate or whatever. It doesn't change someone's mind like through one debate or one conversation. It takes multiple tries, and you're gonna have to keep doing it and keep going at it with persistence.
Yeah, keep the
And
conversation open, basically.
yeah,
Don't let
and
it get
open and
closed.
whatnot, but like keep having those conversations and don't say I'm done, I'm tired, I don't want to talk about it no more. We need to keep going and persist and and whatnot. But and sometimes, a lot of times, it's someone else that says it that changed their minds. But you put in those like I was gonna say seeds, but you can put in those seeds or whatever. But the more times that they'll have those conversations, their mind might be changed later, even though it didn't come from you. But like they still engage in that conversation, they're hearing it and whatnot, and then over time they're just gonna think about it or whatever. As long as they keep thinking about it, having those conversations, I think that's the direction that people need to go. Otherwise, if they don't want to talk about it and whatnot and just live in their bubble, then they're stuck in their bubble. They're not going to go anywhere. But as long as people are engaging and having a conversation, we have a chance, or people have a chance generally, of changing people's minds. You know.
Yeah, I like that perspective. Yeah, that's definitely true.
yeah.
I
And
think that is the case.
yeah, you don't need to go into a conversation necessarily with the purpose of changing somebody's mind, but rather, if you even if you think they're wrong, or even if you don't agree with their view, just go in with the goal of helping them understand why they think that way,
Yeah.
rather than be like you're wrong. Just like asking questions, like
Yeah, why they hold that
so
view.
that
Yeah.
To understand why they hold that
yeah,
view towards
yeah.
whatever
I,
topic.
I think that's the best way to ultimately help somebody, because if somebody tells you you're wrong, chances are you're gonna become resistant to anything they
Yeah.
say after that,
Yeah,
right?
and I was saying to Caitlin that like when someone says like you're wrong or go to insults or whatever, they have now you have now just made an enemy, or
Yeah,
you now made it more difficult to even talk to that person. Like there, and then because of what you've done, they're expecting other people to react the same way, and so they're already putting up walls before they even have the conversation. So I advocate for people to not do those things, to not
yeah,
attack people or name call or say you're wrong or whatever. Just keep trying to get them to think, you know.
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of times I've also found that if I disagree with somebody's immediate statement, but I get to know them and understand where they're coming from, it it makes me actually get why they think the way they do and not feel so hostile towards them, right? Like being like,
Mhm.
okay, they've been through this and they've been through that, or like their parents literally put this in their head, or this is what they were raised in a very isolated um, situation, or whatever the reason may be. Like getting to know someone a little bit better always helps you understand why they hold those beliefs, and makes it a little bit easier to not be so harsh on them, so hard on them. Like,
Yeah.
unless they're being like complete assholes, and they're like, I don't care or whatever. But if it's somebody that's a decent person, and you just
Mhm.
disagree with them, don't immediately just cut them off just because you disagree with what they're just saying.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, but
try
you
to.
should still have a
Yeah.
certain point, like a certain point. Like if you see that you're not able, like you say you've already had like several open conversations. Like what is the point where you realize that this person is not going to change their mind on like a topic, say such as like homophobia or transphobia? Like where do you draw the line, to how long you give them a chance to try to change their views after I know you said that you get to know that person, but they need to get to know you as well to understand why
Hmm.
you hold those views. So you have to come into an agreement at some point. You can't eventually just say, okay, I realize you're always gonna, be homophobic. Like I can't be your friend anymore. Then I can't talk to you anymore because I mean
Yeah,
to me
I
that's
think there should be boundaries for your own self and what you're allowing yourself to surround yourself with. But if you're capable, like I think I'm like this very few type of people that regardless of what you think, and like for example the homophobic stuff, like if I find someone homophobic but they don't, I don't witness it, or like something like they're very strong and vocal about it but that they just have that belief or whatever, like, and they're willing to keep talking about it, I'm going to keep talking about it, I'm going to keep talking to you, you know even though we disagree, as long as you consent to the conversation, I'm willing to keep talking, but if you don't and you don't consent to it, then we can't talk anymore.
yeah,
And
no,
I
I
and if
no,
you
go ahead. Yeah.
don't consent to talking anymore, then uh, like to me, how I word it is like you've already lost the you already lost. If you can't keep talking about it to if you can't keep talking to them, you've lost the conversation. You've lost trying to change their mind. But if you keep persisting, there might be a chance. You know.
Yeah, no, I like what you said. So yeah, it's definitely based on, I guess, how they would be portraying that actual view that they hold. Like, yeah, like if they're not going out and actively like, beating up, someone for being, gay, or, or actively like throwing slurs like in public at people,
Yeah.
they just hold that belief but keep it to themselves,
Yeah.
so they can go to heaven, and they're never going to be gay themselves, then
Yeah.
I guess that is different. That's I guess it depends on how strong and what the actions that they're
Yeah.
actually putting out there with the beliefs they hold. So yeah,
Yeah.
no, definitely. But I do agree, you do have to keep open dialogue, and that is
Mhm.
always like, as in today's society, like we're all about just like arguing, and like AJ said earlier about not being weak and portraying yourself as being the more powerful side. Basically, it's all about power and being over, like, I guess, a certain population.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that, Joe and I have had situations with people that we know where this has come up, with someone that's showing homophobic or transphobic, racist behavior, not behavior, but like statements. And so we both tried to talk to this person with reasoning and, explaining biology as far as trans people, acceptance as far as gay people, like pointing out how something that they may say could be racist or even misogynistic, very anti woman, putting down women. Sometimes, claims of being a joke, but a joke is one thing. But when somebody is already telling you, hey, please don't say that or it's harmful, and you're continuing to do it, then that is
It's a boundary. It's a
definitely,
Yeah.
boundary.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, you're doing it on purpose with the purpose of hurting the person that asked you not to do it.
They're purposely overstepping that boundary,
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
push their power over their belief over yours, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, or like using gaslighting techniques. I
Yeah,
didn't say
gaslighting
that,
too.
or
Yeah.
you're, making themselves the victim, and
Mhm.
stuff like that. So yeah, like I completely agree. Like, if we've spent a very long time talking to people like this, okay, like giving them many many chances. So at some points, yeah, like I blocked this person in the past.
Mm.
But you do
Then
reopen dialogue, so
yeah,
I guess
yeah, sometimes
I
I've
don't know.
tried to like reopen it and give them another chance and get to know them a little bit better and why they may hold on to these beliefs and stuff like that. So, but yeah, like there's sometimes there comes a time when you're like, I no longer have the energy to put into these conversations. Like, I can use them on people that I know actually want to have these conversations in a serious way without being um
Like
without
mocked.
trying to gaslight you or like,
Yeah.
yeah, or make themselves the victim and stuff like that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, so you have to find where that is, whether it's family, whether it's friends, whether it's complete strangers on social media. Like, you decide where your boundaries are. Sometimes there's people that just come with the sole purpose of being assholes, and it's okay to cut them off, but it's
Yeah.
also okay to like continue conversations with someone that is a little bit hard-headed, but that you can
Yeah.
see small amounts of progress, you know,
Yeah.
or like you can see the benefit to continuing it. Yeah.
Mhm. So like to get to the which is similar to what we're talking about of like disagreeing and still trying to have that conversation and be persistent or like to continue conversation not have a wall or whatever. But to like the topic of like not voting or whatever. And I have conversations with at MA, our social group, uh what you call it, the uh Metroplex atheist group, right?
Okay,
And
yeah.
voting comes up or politics comes up every once in a while, right? And I almost at least it feels like every person has gone through this conversation with me to understand where I'm coming from. They don't agree or whatever, and but they know my position on it. But at first, like just like everyone else that isn't part of that group that asked me these questions too, I have practice with them knowing how people are going to question things and how I respond to things, and then they kind of understand at the very end rather than because immediately when I say I don't vote, they go crazy. But
Yeah.
almost at the very end, they're like, okay, I get it, but still I don't agree, right? So uh, so, like, there's a line of thoughts or lines of reasoning, or what I call reasoning, why I don't vote, right? So, like, one of them is like, why don't you vote, right? And I go, uh, if I vote, uh, should I vote for who I want to vote for, or should I vote for who you want me to vote for?
That's a good
And
point.
they're like, well, I think you should vote for whoever you want to vote for. I go, bullshit. You know why? Because in the past hour you've been talking about how no one should vote for this other person, but only should vote for my person that I voted for. So you're already lying to me because I've already heard all your talking points before you asked me. So no, you want me to vote for who you want to vote for, and so like I'll use the Trump like what you call it, devil's advocate, saying if I want to vote for Trump, like should I vote for Trump if that's what I want to do? Should do should I vote? Do you agree that I should do that? even though I don't want to, but like I know you don't want me to. But because you have contradictory thinking from what you previously said to what I am questioning you with, they clash. Because at this point, they're like, yeah, you should vote for whoever you want and whatnot, but that contradicts what you just said, you know. Um, so I go, I think for me, I think people should vote for whoever they want to, regardless of if it disagrees with whatever side you're on. You know, it's your voice, it's your vote, whatever. You should do whatever you want. People can disagree, but I don't think they should be hated on for who they vote for, because you don't. If they just said I vote for Trump, immediately they get hated on, but you have no idea why they what thought or what policy or whatever they're like they thought was a good idea to them. You immediately jump on them and be like, nothing is good. You know, there could be that one single voter or one issue
Yeah, one
voter.
item voter. Yeah,
Yeah,
single item voter, single issue
yeah,
voter. Yeah,
yeah, and I go, maybe you even agree on that. Like, if you disagree for Trump, maybe you agree on that one policy, and that's what they voted for on or wanted out of it. So, but you didn't even ask them why they voted for Trump. You already hate them. You know, I think you need to have that conversation with that person and find out why. So that's like reason number one, right? Um, and then another one is like this idea where I got from Adam Ruins Everything, right? Or so I think, how I remember it. It could be a false memory, but uh,
Okay.
Adam Ruined Everything kind of started my way of thinking about my interest in politics, the way that how I visualize it in such a way. uh he did an episode of it, right? And there's something that caught me, like got to me, and it lives in my head rent free. And he goes something along these lines of a candidate can, will, do, and have lot yeah, can, will, do, and have tell a lie in order to get a vote.
Yeah.
And when I heard this, and I was in college, and it was around the time of Trump and Hillary, right? And everyone's like going crazy, and I tell them I don't vote or whatever, and they go, "You don't vote?" I go, "If we can agree on one thing, just one thing, why vote?" Right? They're like, "Okay." I go, "I do all those things." I go, uh, "Do you agree that they can do all those things and whatever?" And they're like, "Yeah." So why vote? Because you disagreed that they can lie about anything and whatnot to get a vote. The second question, it's a different question, is what they're lying about. That's separate, but you know you're being lied to, and you're still voting. You know, and I have a problem with that. You know, so like you're voting and you know you're being lied to. That's a problem. You know, um, and then what is the other one like? Uh, a lesser of two evils or whatever. And I don't like that argument. People can have it, whatever. Um, but like for me, I don't want to vote for any evil. And uh, the lesser evil sounds good in theory or whatever, but like you're still voting for evil in my head. Uh, I want to try to find some. I want to withhold my vote or like withheld my vote until I find someone that I actually agree with, not just someone that is is the lesser evil and
yeah, like
like
the of the choice available, basically. So, what do you think could actually change that view? Like, what would you need our political election system to be like for you to be able to vote? Would you, if it was like, if it wasn't only a two-party system, I think that would fix a majority of the problems. Where you basically, we have to do something about where based on what you're telling me, I feel like if we were to somehow be able to break up the party system, just having Republicans, Democrats is a issue. I mean, we
yeah,
have we have the what's the word I'm looking for? I can't remember the other group.
Yeah, there's an
Well, I know you
independent
have
Green
the Green
Party.
Party.
Yeah,
Um,
there's other
Asia, yeah,
parties,
there's
but
a yeah, but they're not. They don't get to debate though. They don't allow them airtime,
yeah,
during the primaries and so forth. So I mean,
yeah,
if they try to hold their own primaries, it's completely disconnected from the primetime stuff that they give the candidates that they want to be there. So they're using the media basically, this prime time, and they push them on the forefront. Like, how do we get these lower candidates, that don't have all this money to put into these campaigns? How do we let them have the same type of airtime, and for the American people to get to see them and know their policies, and be able to see that they might not come from some political dynasty, from a family base, that's been in politics, for generations. But that doesn't mean that this person, I mean, there's so many smart people that know so much about economics, and just global history, that would be great for trying to reunite and connect us on a global scale, versus everyone just wanting to fight. It's like, what do we do to fix that, to change, to
Yeah.
people like you, to get you to be interested in voting? And how do we start to make that change? I mean,
mhm.
it's
And
definitely a battle.
yeah, and to me, it's kind of hard to say like what would make me want to vote, or what like what would make me
Encourage you.
encourage me to vote or whatever. It how I see politics is a lot like religion, and I see the politics with the religion lens, and try to like at least the atheist lens of like Christian or like theism or whatever, just like seeing the patterns of how they work or whatever. But like in this regards, it's like how I hear the echo of it is like, well, what evidence do you need to be convinced of a God? I don't know, but God knows
Gotcha.
or
That makes
whatever.
sense.
So like, what would cause you? What would make you want to be like convince you to be Christian? I mean Christian, Democrat or Republican? I don't know, but like, but I also would have to know that the policies and whatnot, and that kind of leads to the other reason why I don't vote is because to me personally, different opinions to everybody else. I believe that voters should be educated and what they're voting for, as knowing what the policies are. I don't, uh, and a lot of people say that's willful ignorance, and I'll get into that later. But like, I, I use my weakness as a strength, and this is how I word it: weakness as a strength to uh, judge the people that do vote, or to calibrate the people that do vote, or whatever, to see where they're at, right? So first, I have to see them myself and go, I'm ignorant. I don't know whose policies are what, right? You could tell me some policies, and I'll be like, I'm for that or against that, but I don't know which party is what. But if I like, I had a conversation with Caitlin one day, and I go, what I want from voters, like being educated, what would show me that they're educated is that I want, I think it was like five good and bad policies on both sides. And Caitlin goes, you're asking for like 20 policies, right? No one knows 20 policies. And I go, but that's my point. No, if anyone on the street, you just ask them, hey, give me 20 policies.
Yeah.
Uh, they
Most
can't.
most would not be able to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's my point. A majority of people, majority of voters don't know their fucking policies, let alone 20. If there's more than 20, I don't know what the scale is or the count is, but can't give me 20. And I go, fuck it. Give me three good and bad on both sides. They still can't. Like I'm betting on that. But like from the experiences I have, like if I question that, I'm betting that no one can do that if I ask them. So I go, I don't know. I'm ignorant, but how about you tell me some policies? And they'll give me like at least five from their own side, and maybe two from like say Trump's side or whatever. But I'm like, that's not a lot of policies to work off of. Like, I think if you can name five good ones and two bad ones, it kind of seems to me as more biased, But you haven't found like at least one good one from Trump or something, like out of a
Yeah.
whole list. There could maybe one. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I have Republican friends. And one person in general. He's a little bit older than me, and uh, he he doesn't like Trump at all. Like he hates the way that Trump, um, showboats everything. Has to be like in the spotlight at all times. He'll say stuff that he knows sometimes is not even correct, just to make a splash basically. But I mean, he hates Trump for that, but yet he loves Trump for a lot of his like economic like views. He says that they're actually very good. And this guy, he's an accountant. He's a tax accountant, and he's like um very smart in terms of like economic policies. And he tells me that this tariff stuff will work if we do go through a couple years of hardship. But I argue that even if that would work, like, is it worth putting Americans through like 5 years, 10 years of hardship to have like a reset? It's like, shouldn't we have when you think of like an economic like outlook of that, I mean, that's kind of scary
Yeah,
if you're doing
I
that
heard
on
the
purpose.
phrase "short term pain for long term gain" on
Yeah,
TikTok.
yeah.
Really,
Oh
That is
yeah,
what they say. Yeah, that is what they say.
yeah.
I don't
But
know. It's But yeah, I mean, some people can hold I think I went way off topic. I mean, with my response, man, but
it's okay. It's okay. Keep going
but
with what
yeah,
you were saying.
but like and then and at this moment I told them I'm ignorant, right? And afterwards they'll call me willful ignorant or whatever. But like at this moment I go, I think we could agree on something, right? That that I'm ignorant, right? We could agree that I'm ignorant on policies and about politics or whatever. I agree. I'll confess to that, right? Knowing this, knowing that I'm ignorant, do you want me to vote like as of currently, do you want me to? Should I vote being ignorant, or should I wait to vote until I'm actually educated? Right? And they're like, "Yeah, you shouldn't. You should be educated before you vote." I go, okay. So I think the responsible thing for me to do, my own choice, is to not vote because
because
I'm not
you're not
educated.
educated. Got you.
Yeah. So people, I advocate for people that don't that they have the right to vote, should have the right to vote, but do the responsible thing is to be educated first and know what you're voting into before you vote. So I kind of use myself as an example, like where I'm at the moment, to show other people like they shouldn't just go in there not knowing what they're doing and just vote.
Yeah, well, that's actually a very good perspective, because maybe not. I think that that's actually a, a big problem. Like when you look at like local races and like local government, because a lot of people will do straight ticket. They don't even look at what's actually on the ballot. There's always a lot of propositions on there, and even when you're electing like you're electing your just local representatives, some of those might not be they might be right on the middle of the party line on some of your views and topics, and your local and state stuff. I mean, that's where a lot of your you really have a lot of stuff passed on that affects you locally, because
Yeah,
that's
and,
where you
and
that's
a
where you
lot of people
live.
go to that direction when I say this and
I
whatnot.
just used to.
Is that should I say that?
Yeah.
Caitlin was saying that when I used to do it, I would just go up there and just pick whatever name I would like, whatever name I like, I just vote for them, you know. But even if the local level, like
Not recently.
not
but-
recently,
Not recently.
Good.
but
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 used
even at
to,
a
yeah.
local level, I should still be educated in what I'm voting
You
into.
should,
Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah, you
not
definitely
just
should.
the name I like or whatever, or mini mini miny mo, whatever. Like I advocate for people to be educated before they vote, and and people are like, well, hey, you spend all this time and whatnot, you could be educating yourself right now. I go, yeah, sure, fair, like granted, but also like I'm also lazy and I got other priorities that I like and whatnot. But I like talking, and so like I try to, and this is what I like to do. So I kind of use me into this debate or a conversation and use it while I'm at it, and try to show people a different perspective, and
Yeah.
try to even encourage them to like those five good and five bad and whatnot. Try to get them to understand like you also need to be more educated too, right? Not just me, but everybody.
Yeah,
You
you don't
know,
always know everything because like politics is like it's so evolving and changing like
yeah,
every minute. So I mean, yeah, there's so much you have to keep up with.
yeah,
Um,
and
Politics
then
are a
Yeah.
beast.
yeah, and then there's the
Oh,
oh yeah, go
perfect
ahead. I'm sorry.
timing.
Huh?
No, I
Oh,
was
that
gonna say perfect timing because our friend is here joining us, and
Mr.
I'm gonna
Damien. Let's
bring
see
up
if we can.
So
Damien. What's up?
what's
What's
How
up?
up,
you doing?
Damien? Good
You
to
Is
doing
see
that
you,
good?
man.
is that a man controlling a goat?
Yes,
It's not a go.
it is.
That is a
It's a
sacrificial
cute little
lamb.
girl.
You be- you better not touch the goat.
we
Damien,
were
So
we were just getting the party started, man, with the
yeah,
goat.
I,
where have you been? Thanks for joining us, man.
nah, I came from the gym. And y'all are not gonna believe how many times I sit down on this chair to join this live. There is something that I kept on forgetting every single time.
I believe that.
You're good. So we were talking about sacrificial lamb. Say that he doesn't vote because well, he gave us a few reasons, right? Like, but the main one I would say being that he doesn't feel like he's educated enough in politics and policies to understand who or what he's voting for. So he was advocating basically for people who are not educated enough in politics to also not vote. So I was thinking,
Mhm.
here is my idea, okay? Because this is a really touchy subject and it's sensitive. And I think that sometimes people might make judgments automatically if they hear somebody say that they don't vote, but they don't quite understand that there are maybe good reasons why they're doing that. So I wanted, okay, because obviously, we've all made decisions that maybe, weren't our best or like that other people don't agree with, but that we still stand by them. And as our very wise cousin Samantha would say, we listen and we don't
Don't
judge,
judge. Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I'm not here to like make judgments on whether somebody should vote or shouldn't vote. But I thought we could do this like an experiment. You guys, Joe and Damien, remember when we did that epistemology video like way back when I first started my channel?
Yeah, that was
Second
like
to
one of the
living
first
room,
videos that we did. Yeah, I do
like
remember that.
where we picked a statement and then I ask a lot of questions of the person to try to understand better their standing. So I figured we could do this. This is called epistemology. I don't know that for anybody that may not be familiar with the term, it's basically studying how we arrive at a belief, right? Like why we hold that specific belief. And it can be related to any topic like, I don't know, religion or non religious, like voting. Okay. So I learned this method from Anthony Magnabosco. And he does something called street epistemology, where he like go to like a college campus and interview students about whatever belief they pick. And if anybody doesn't know who that is, he's the king of street epistemology. You can go and look up his channel. I will put his name down here, Anthony Magnabosco.
I
And
used to watch him all the time.
you
Yeah,
met
he
him
had
in,
some great content.
Yeah,
yeah, you know him, right? Like you've
yeah.
met him at dance
I don't think
wedding.
I said hi to him, like, or yeah, I don't think I actually talked to him. I think I saw him like behind us sitting down or something, but like, yeah, I know who he is.
Okay. Okay, cool. Yeah, he's really cool. Like I've talked to him
Mhm.
before online, and at the wedding he was looking around for me, and I got to talk to him for a little bit. He's like a really smart person. Um, so he's been doing that for like 10 years or more than that. He actually interviewed Dan, objectively Dan. That's how they met.
Yeah, I saw
and
that video. It was like watching
very
the
eye
video.
opening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very eye opening. Yeah.
yeah.
I think I need to
So,
rewatch it if I've already seen it.
oh, okay. I'm gonna send you the links after,
Yeah.
because there's two videos. There's one where he did the first interview,
And
and
then he
then
comes back.
one where
Yeah.
he does an update and like kind of like lets him know that the conversation that they originally had helped him change his mind about the
Mhm.
topic that they had picked. And he was like, it was thanks to your questioning that I was able to sort of reason on why I was holding on to that belief and why it wasn't, eventually figured out it wasn't correct. Um, so the way it works is one person makes the claim and the other person makes ask questions about it. Now, everybody here can answer the questions if they feel like they have a comment on it, but we are gonna like explore this from Sacrificial Lamb's statement that he made earlier. And now, let me know if this is correct. Like, your statement will be people who are not educated in politics should respectfully and responsibly decide not to vote. Is that right?
That sounds pretty accurate. Yeah.
Okay. So, firstly, how strongly do you feel about that statement? Like, from zero being like not super confident to 100%, like, I stand by this 100%.
Uh, I'm gonna say 100%.
All right.
100%.
That's cool. That's cool.
Okay. Okay.
We'll reevaluate that like at the end of the
Right,
conversation.
right.
But for now, we'll put it at 100%.
Yeah.
What about Damien? How would you like completely agree with that statement or disagree with that statement?
Can you repeat the statement? One,
Uh, Basically, like if you're not educated in politics or policies, then you should not vote.
Uh, respectfully, responsibly. Yeah.
Right.
I'll be in the middle,
Okay.
50%.
What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I'm about 75%.
Okay. All right. That's cool.
Yeah.
So,
I just didn't want to like interpretate it wrong for other people that just joined or whatever to
Yeah,
think that
no,
it was
no.
like shouldn't vote. Period. Whatever.
yeah, if you want to, yeah, if you feel like, yeah, that's cool.
No, he's saying that he
Oh.
didn't. Did you want to explain that right now, or you're saying
Oh
that you?
no! I was just when she was repeating the question to him, like it left out that other part, which isn't
Gotcha.
that
Oh, yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
that important, but like I feel that it's important a part of it,
yeah.
But
No,
Oh,
it
okay,
is. Yeah,
gotcha.
yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
okay,
yeah,
so that the responsible thing to do
yeah,
if you're not educated enough in politics is to not
yeah,
vote. So
yeah,
that better?
yeah,
Okay, good. No, that's good because I want to have like the correct
yeah,
thought, like the correct statement, so that we
yeah,
can
yeah,
explore.
yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry about that. So one thing that you mentioned earlier was that um, you know, actually, I don't think you mentioned it here, but I think you mentioned it to me during our chats in the past. And you say
Okay.
that you support policies, but not politicians. So
Yes.
can you tell me like what that looks like for you? Like what are some actions that you take to support policies without supporting a politician?
So I think that's where I was going to go right after my last talking point,
Okay.
and uh, I can't think of the policies on top of my head other than like say like I would support abortions or whatever, but like I was hearing distracted from her, but my talking point on that policies uh extracted or whatever from politicians is that when it comes to politicians that you're voting for a package deal, like everything. You're even though you don't support in all their politics policies, when you vote for them, you're voting for all of it, even though you don't agree with all of it. And so, I'd rather, in my way of how I see how I would like to vote is like I would like to vote what I agree with or support with of support of policies and which policies I don't support and vote that way. And instead of voting one policy, like say single issue voters vote for one thing and then they have to get everything else. And so, in my metaphor that I use is like if I go to the grocery store and I just want milk, I don't want everything else I don't want. Like if I don't want like uh, eggs, sandwich meat, and all this other stuff, I'm like I'm not here to for that. I'm here just because I want some milk, you know. And if someone else votes for something else over here and votes for their policies for their candidate or politician, and then I'm forced to eat whatever they for like voted for me to eat. I don't want to eat your shit. I just want milk, you know. So like I don't agree with voting for politicians and then another politician to force me to do what I don't want to do. I want to vote for what I want to do. And it seems like politicians don't really care in my vision, don't care what you like. It's whatever their package deal is forced onto you, you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. Damien, question for you. Do you think that you should agree with a politician at least in the majority of their policies in order to vote for them?
Yeah, if they share my common beliefs, even if it's not 100%, I'd rather vote for that side than the side that doesn't support most of my beliefs. So
Okay.
Yeah,
What
and I
about
think
you,
there's like a
Jerome?
risk benefit ratio. Like if there's like 90% of what you agree with and whatnot, and there's just like that 10% that you don't, and you're willing to eat that too, if you're consenting to that, even though you don't want it, sure. But if it's like, okay, you only agree with 20%, but I like they're on my side or whatever, and I really, really want that 20%, you know, then that's your choice. But like that's 20% of what you're voting for, and you're gonna force yourself to eat 80% of shit you don't want to eat.
yeah.
You know,
Okay.
Well,
you
can
know.
can I ask you a question? Because
Mhm.
you made a good point
Mm.
earlier. Can I ask a
Yeah,
question?
you can ask questions. It's cool.
Well,
Yeah.
right now I have been a Democrat for my whole life. I done my research, but there's certain beliefs and ideas that the Republican Party has that I completely agree with, and I feel like I'm like at the right now I'm at a point where I'm very frustrated with politics. Even we've seen it like with people across the whole U.S. The minorities, people of color, young people. They're just tired of the economy. They're tired of a lot of things, and there's a bunch of issues. But I feel like the reason why the Democrats lost is because they didn't really they didn't the big issues they didn't bring out, and the Republican Party did. They talked about the economy, they talked about house prices, et cetera, and that's how they got the people that were in the middle to go towards the Republican side. So basically, my question is, how can we come to a point where Democrats and Republicans can agree and do well for the whole society? How can we get to that point?
That is what I want people to do. Yeah, she's talking in my ear.
She's whispering.
No, I'm
What
exaggerating,
is,
but
what is she
but
whispering?
she's like right there. Uh, but no, like, but that is another thing I advocate for is like, we're so divided and whatnot. But like, if to what I incline to vote for is something, even though it's uh, like people don't see it like this, but like I want to vote for something that's objectively good, right? Even though that sounds weird, but like or something that we agree on collectively on both sides and move forward and grow that way instead of trying to attack each other. What I want and what I want clashes, and then like executive order here now, and then someone else comes along and takes that with another executive order and cancels that out, and we're just like hopscotching it and shit.
Yeah,
We're just
constantly,
like
constantly. Yeah,
constantly
It's
doing
just
that, and
like
we're not moving
yeah,
anywhere.
we're
yeah.
just throwing shit at each other, basically.
Yeah,
Right?
it's like two steps forward, three steps back.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
step
If we can
forward.
agree
This is
on
like,
something and move forward, at least we're progressing. but we're just fighting each other with policies that are uh, polar opposite, and we need to find something we can agree on
Yeah.
and find that, and then vote for that, and then change America that way.
I mean, I think we all agree about being able to live financially and stable. So I mean, use that as a foundation. The economy has to be stable. We have to be able to make money. There has to be, you have to have commerce, but we have like these huge monopolies. These billionaires that are just like they have control of our government. Like it's crazy
Exactly.
right now. Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what the most successful countries have in common is that they have a socialist system. Okay, and I know people hear the word socialism and they freak out, but
Yeah.
they simply have higher taxes, but everybody gets a fair chance at education, basic healthcare, housing. So you have people that live a decent lives, right? Like I would say, like the majority of us over here in this room right now live comfortably. Like everybody works hard and everything, but like we are able to get healthcare and we are able to get food on our table, and that's what everybody wants. That's what
Yeah.
everybody wants.
But they tell you everybody already has
So
that. Like that's available to everybody. Why just go get it? But they have all these blocks that keep you from getting
Yeah.
it.
yeah, it truly is not. It's
Yeah.
truly not. Like education is not available to everybody. Healthcare is not available to everybody. Um, but yeah. So, Damien, you said something earlier that that you agree with, that you've been a Democrat, but you agree with a lot of what the Republican Party stands for. I'm sorry, not a lot, but like some of the things
I
that
think he
they.
has more like I think you
So
would reference it more like you have what's the word I'm looking for? Never mind. I
Like
blinked out. Go
I'm
ahead.
purple. Like I'm
You're
purple.
Yeah.
purple.
Yeah.
No,
And I've been mentioning
more
that to.
conservative. He has some conservative views that
yeah,
are
Yeah.
more
so
conservative in terms of like economics, I think.
yeah, but what I was gonna say is like that the solution to that is what we talked about before Damien joined the stream, and is having more than two parties. When you have a third party candidate, there's a lot of people who are not either the Democrat or Republicans who support independence or what's the other one? The yeah,
Green
my
Party.
brain's blanking. The Green Party, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
He's a
like
purple party. No. It's-
The purple party.
yeah.
Barney. Vote Barney. No.
Right. So, like, I mean, if there were more options other than far left or far right, then I feel like people who are stuck in the middle would be more willing to go out there and vote, you
Mhm.
know, um,
Yeah.
or to
But
feel like they're
Well,
voting for something that they actually stand for.
what you would be
Yeah.
able to the people, all right, like he was talking about earlier, sacrificial lamb, about how people have, some people might have like three different items that they vote for. So if you have like multiple parties, you're going to have some parties, you're going to be able to have more of a pool to pick from, of which party holds more of your views based on their values and stuff. So you're going to split up all these votes. You're going to have more parties, yes, but I mean that's fine. Let there be like 12 people on the ticket, when you vote. It's like, is that bad? I mean,
uh,
Yeah. But
uh,
I wish there was just like we could just vote for the policies without the person being
without
involved, and like if like I don't want to say majority rule or whatever, that sounds bad, but like if the person if there's a candidate that will do whatever the popular vote, whatever, the America has voted strongly on, and then that candidate will do whatever America has voted on to do, not
That's
just what the
interesting.
candidate has biased views, or one party has strongly views on that. They have to do what America wants, regardless of what their views are. You know,
yeah. So maybe the president has too much overreach, too much power.
I
Do you
think
think?
government has too much power in
Yeah,
general, all three
yeah.
branches.
But I mean, you could have, well, yeah, that is true. But the president to be able to just do executive orders, I think, is kind of extreme
It's
too. It's
crazy,
like,
and But yeah, you say that, and I think it was the first time, first term that Trump was in, and everyone was talking about how Trump was doing executive orders and hating him for that. And then Biden got in, and not at the same rate, but Biden did executive orders
Yeah,
for
he
whatever
did.
reasons, and
Yeah.
he did it too. And I go, hey, if you're mad at Trump for doing that, you have to be mad at for Biden for doing it too. And if you don't do that, then you're showing your biasness. You kind of have to be fair,
Yeah,
But
I
if
agree with that.
and so I called them out for it, even though they don't really change their mind because they hate Trump so bad, they're willing to accept whatever Biden does, you know. And I'm like, that's still wrong, you know. Be at least be fair and be consistent,
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, I agree with that as well. I mean,
Yeah.
100%.
So I find myself more in the middle because I'm trying to see it from at least a biased, unbiased position. Like my biasness is to be unbiased, if that makes sense. Like
Yeah.
I want to see it from both ends. Like I want to, like I said from earlier, how I see politics like religion. Like I see Republicans and Democrats like I see Christians and Muslims or whatever. I see two different parties saying that they're right and saying the other person is wrong, you know, and I want to know what's actually true and what's actually good, you know. And so both people think that they're good and true and saying the other one is evil and wrong.
Well, like you were talking about, though, you'd prefer to have policies run the candidate or run the person, because you do
Yeah,
have to
pretty
have
much.
someone that represents those policies, right? There has to be
Yeah,
like some
yeah.
power, some one person that's in power of that, I assume. Or is there a
Yeah.
different way to hold that? I don't
Yeah.
really think there is.
Caitlin's like, it doesn't have to be one, but
Well,
I don't
yeah.
know. I'm thinking there should be a different way. We need to figure out a different way how to work this and not stick with something that's broken
But
and
do we have
just
to
keep
look
using
at
the
like
broken tool.
do we have to look at the key, like maybe the top five like key things that we should all
Mm.
agree on that everybody should
Yes,
have to and
it's a start. Sure,
yeah,
but
yeah,
I'll even be like one. Oh,
yeah.
human beings
Well,
exist.
I mean, healthcare should be like, that should definitely be something everybody has access to.
Yeah,
For to have like a healthy society, you have to
Yeah,
have healthy people. It's like, but
but
then
Republicans don't agree
the
with
way
that.
we
So
have
how
it
do
set
you
up right
get
now,
there?
you have these pharmaceuticals that make so much money off like having our population on a lot of these medications, and then they lobby our politicians. You have to be able to disconnect that as well. You have to start cutting roots on a lot of things that are entangled in our government and the way it's set up right now. So I
Yeah.
think there's just so much, and I think some people get, like, for me, I get overwhelmed sometimes. Like politics in general will just like your brain, you
Yeah.
always got to keep thinking about it. And like I said earlier, it's always evolving, and there's policies here and this is changing, they're trying to do this. It's like it'll drive you crazy if you try to keep up with it 100%. And I think that burns a lot of people out, where they
Yeah.
don't even want to vote, because I've been there before, where I'm just
All
like,
right.
I don't even want to think about politics.
Let's give the floor to Damien because he's
yeah.
raised his hand
Let's
like
go,
four
Cora.
times right
My
now.
bad, my bad.
He's like, "Ah!"
My
I was gonna
bad.
say, give Damien a
I was
chance.
trying to say, I was trying to get some words into, but
Yeah. All right, Damien, go.
I kind of forgot what I was gonna say.
I'm sorry, man.
Yeah.
I see you waving and shit, man.
Yeah.
I
No,
feel bad
actually,
for you.
I remembered. I remember.
Okay, go.
With what, like how, like what you just said, Joe. How do we do that? Like we as the people, we need to unite together, and we need to. How do we overthrow the government? Because our government needs to change. It's like the Boston Tea
Careful
Party.
saying that on
Oh
TikTok.
yeah,
You got kicked out of TikTok.
Yeah.
FBI might show up, but I have a response to that though.
Go ahead.
I don't have an answer, but I have a response. Now, my thing is, how do we do this? Is by starting to talk to each other and civilly talk to each other, even though we disagree on things. We have to be open and have that conversation instead of you're. I don't want to talk to you because I disagree with you, and we need to start talking.
So it goes
You know?
back to the keeping the
Yeah,
conversation open and reaching
Mhm.
across the aisle.
yeah.
Someone with different views, different
And I
perspectives.
have this quote or phrase that I might have made up or I heard someone say it or whatever, but I use it. And it kind of goes something like this. It's like, if you want to make a difference in the world, you have to talk about your differences. And
Yeah.
if you don't talk about your differences, then you don't really want to make a difference in the world. You know.
I have a question.
Uh huh.
So, what you're saying, it sounds beautiful. It sounds
Sure.
like workable. It sounds like it's doable. But
It's a pipe
people
dream.
are people. First of all, people only care about things that affect them. I
Yeah.
have a lot
That
of
is true. Very
I have
true.
I have a lot of Republican friends that I talk to them like, oh, what about these people? Like, well, it's like it doesn't matter to them because it doesn't affect them. And I'm like, like people are not gonna care if it doesn't affect them. And I think
But
that's
I think there's a way like back to the persistent thing and like keep talking to them and try to find ways to make get them to think differently and
Because
question
it's
them.
yeah, because they'd make them aware of how it is to be in those situations, I
Yeah.
assume, right? Kind of.
It's already hard for people to think already, but for someone to like get them to like get on the treadmill, right? Get just start walking, you know. Get
Yeah.
just get them to start thinking outside of their bubble and their echo chamber. Just start small. Just say something, but don't stop. You know, you can grow that conversation in harder questions, but you gotta like keep persisting on the small things and then grow later. You know.
Yeah, because
well,
I will have a hard time believing that somebody doesn't know any woman, people of color, disabled person, an LGBTQ person. Like, I bet you every single one of those people do know someone like that, but they just don't care. So you kind of have to like dig deeper to help them understand why they should care about those other people that are not themselves.
Yeah. And if they're not consenting, there's nothing you can do. But as long as they keep they're consenting to the conversation, keep having that conversation. You know,
Yeah. I like that, Caitlin. That's
he's
true.
right there.
yeah.
Yeah. No.
But
What she
that,
said? I couldn't hear.
Oh,
We
no,
just
no,
have
no.
to
I
stop
put I put her stuff on
forgetting
the
that they're
screen.
humans too.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah.
So,
And
back to the topic of voting and all of that. Like Damien said, all that sounds absolutely beautiful and ideal, and that's like sacrificial lamb's perfect world.
Yeah,
Uh, all of our perfect worlds,
pipe
right?
dream.
Where people care and where we will be able to vote for the perfect candidate that supports all of our issues that we care about and make a perfect America, right? But currently, in the world that we're living in, unfortunately, the system works through politicians and lawmakers. I'm sorry, my tongue twisted. That they put forward all of these bills and policies, so we rely on them to pass any policies that we care about.
And I'm
And
not saying. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
oh yeah, like they do that with the help of our vote. So if a person supports certain policies but they don't support the politician behind them, like if it's a, let's say it's a really important issue to you, I don't know, like women's rights or
Yeah.
something that affects Kaylin, right?
Uh-huh.
Just to give you an example, like, do you think that there's still value in voting for just for that policy's sake, or would you not
Well,
vote
I
still?
I think for me, I would have to evaluate the rest of the policies and be educated on them because what if I vote for that one issue for women's rights and whatnot, but there's something else that's even darker and worse that anything else, and I'm voting for that too. I don't want that, so I'm gonna have to evaluate how much I really want this over this. But if I don't even know this, then I'm in danger of myself and everybody else of forcing this upon everybody just so I can get this, and I don't think that's fair. So at least for me, I need to know more, and I think everyone else needs to know more before they just jump to this. So,
Do you think that's
but
what
even though I want
happened?
this, I'm scared of what's not what I
Yeah.
don't want. Sorry.
Do you think that a lot of people that voted for Trump did just that? Like they picked one issue that mattered to them and completely ignored like they hold their entire hand of really bad things.
I don't know necessarily, but I can assume that a majority, some I don't because I don't know the statistics. They just like the guy.
Okay.
Yeah, they just
Yeah,
like the
that's a good point.
guy and they just voted for him. But or they did like uh, to take away immigrants or whatever, like, and they jump on that or whatever. But I'm almost 100% positive that they also don't know the rest of the policies as well. You
Okay.
know.
I mean,
Yeah. So
go.
just to build off of what you said, sacrificial lamb. I think that was very noticeable in this election. Uh, a lot of my friends that were Democrats that voted Trump for this election, and a lot of Republicans, they told me the same exact thing. They asked me, "Oh, who do you vote for?" Kamala Harris. I told them. They're like, "Oh, you voting for her? We got so many issues right now. There's issues with the economy, issues with war, issues with the border, issues with a lot of stuff." And meanwhile, Kamala Harris is has freaking Megan Thee Stallion twerking on stage. She's talking about transgender rights, and I'm not against that. We talked about that already, but a lot of them are against that, and so they chose Trump just because of that. And it's like, could we have could Kamala Harris have done better to focus on a lot of the big issues that the majority cares about? You know?
Sure. Yeah. I think that's why previously it was like candidates can be better or whatever. I think it alludes to what we were discussing before you was like the lesser evil or whatever. It was like uh, that there's no president that's perfect, but like I also don't want to vote for the person that's like has the lesser evil because of that, like the five or whatever. Like I don't uh, just because one's better than the other or least worse, but like they're still evil. I don't want evil. I want something that I actually agree on, that I actually believe
Yeah.
what they're saying to be true, and they're gonna do it or whatever.
Well,
And
let
yeah, go
me
ahead.
let me ask you this: Who worst case worst case scenario Kamala Harris, worst case Donald Trump? Which one's worse? Or there
I
you
would
could.
have to evaluate what the policies are.
Yeah.
Until then, like all I'm hearing is things that people told me that one, two, three policies that are good about Kamala. I don't know what other baggage that I don't agree with her on yet, you know. And so she might sound like a good deal or a good candidate, but I don't know what else that she has with it that I should evaluate if it's worth those things, you
Yeah.
know.
Uh,
So they can butter her up, but
yeah.
like to be efficient or to know what the right decision is, I have to know more, you
Yeah.
know,
So,
and which I fail at and I agree at, that I don't
yeah,
exercise,
right. So
but
earlier you mentioned something that you said that I'm trying to remember exactly what it was, but anyways, it was something along the lines that your friend told you when you were in college that candidates lie. What's
yeah,
that?
McCain will
Could you tell
do
me
and
again?
have lied
Okay,
to get a
there you
vote.
go.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, do you think that all candidates lie?
Uh, Uh, I think it's like what you call a faith thing, whatever. I'm using the word faith at this moment. I believe that they do, but I don't know what they're lying about per se. But collectively, as a society, we do agree on this. And if we collectively agree that politicians do all those things to lie to get a vote, then we're screwing ourselves. You know.
And is there a way that we can determine whether they're lying? Like
Uh,
we can find out.
And someone asked me this is like how is that possible to determine what they're lying about? Because what if they're saying what they plan on doing to get into office, and then they get into office and find out they can't do it, right? Maybe they shouldn't promise something that they don't know that they can fulfill, right? So, like, I want someone that actually knows that they're capable of doing it before just giving
Okay.
false hopes.
So, do you think that then are these technically lies, or kind of like us? They're hopeful and they're like
But I
hoping that
also
they
don't want
can do
false
that.
hopes either. But like I said before, it's like we kind of, even if they're false hope and not lies, we kind of already have this conception that they are lies. And if they're not lies and they're false hopes, we're still we're being somewhat deceived in such a way, or a sloppy metaphor for saying deceived, but like we're believing in something that isn't going to happen, and so we're
Okay.
we're kind of deceived in such a way. And I want to know that my vote is actually going to work, and not just pray that it's going to happen and then find out it doesn't. You know,
And
Like if
I
they tell you
want,
something that they think they would have to pass a bill and you don't think that they know there's not going to be they're not going to have control of the house to even get it passed through, but yet they say they're going to,
yeah.
make this policy go into get signed into act basically, but
Yeah.
that it's like
And
definitely not
and
going
how
to
do we
happen.
know? How do we know how much effort they're actually going to put into it?
Yeah, behind
Like,
it. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, they just say it like they can say whatever they want to pander to whoever they want just to get a vote, right? Just to get in there. But but once they're in there, they can change their mind and not even do it, and not even put any effort into it. They've already won. What difference does it make at that point?
Can I want to take this in a different direction real
Oh,
quick. I just had a
sure,
thought just talking about all this. So what if
sure.
what if we use well, we can use the power of social media now. That's like one thing that's kind of been, I guess, a joker to like politics or just like society rule in general, because social media, it gives the ability for everybody to be able to speak to each other without being, without seeing each other in person. Like I have like people on my social media contacts that I talk to that I've never met in person, but it's allowed me to connect with these people and speak with them and engage and learn each other's perspectives and views like we talked about earlier. So maybe as a society, we need to be able to use the power of social media to bring that connection, to open that discussion where people are more knowledgeable on what these policies are that you're talking about. Everyone should be educated on. So let's use it as a tool to educate our society, to be able to connect each other, engage, have that open conversation. I
And
think it could be a good thing.
I think people are doing that and whatnot. Uh, and the way that I see call-in shows and debates and whatnot, and people are doing it with politics, and they're doing it online, and people
We're
are
doing it right
engaging
now.
now.
We're doing it
Yeah,
right
we're doing
now.
it
Yeah.
now. Like
Yeah.
I'm saying, it even stronger. Uh, uh, what you call it? Streamings or whatever platforms that they're
not
they're
us
taking
little
their
people.
Hey,
well,
even
I
the
mean,
little
like
guys
they're
make it
they're
make a
like professional
dent.
people or what? Like what I consider like high intelligence. They actually know their shit, right? That they can go back and forth for hours, and that they know each side of the positions and whatnot. And but like to see it in those debates and whatnot is that people are capable of watching and listening to the mass. The masses are able to do this, right, just by watching a video or a stream, versus going to a convention and whatnot and doing it there. It's much simple and
But it's
easier
great
to.
that we have this
Yes.
outlet that didn't used to be available when there was a
Yeah.
two-party system, when it was just like the top national television
I was
stations that
thinking
would be able
what
to
I was talking
broadcast.
about.
So
Yeah.
now
So
we have like the general population has the ability to broadcast and reach
yeah.
however many people want to listen to what they have to say, and if it's something that's very good and it catches on, you're able to reach a huge audience. I mean, that was
Yeah.
never available to our population. So it does take away some of the control they had and basically guiding the population to vote for these two candidates only through national television, on broadcast television
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
there's
So
a big change in that.
Caitlin was mentioning Dean Withers, and yeah, I've seen him. He's like, um, I don't know how old he is, but he looks
He
like
looks
a
pretty
14
young.
year old.
Yeah, he looks pretty young.
He said he's 20. I heard him say
20.
21. Yeah.
But he's got like 3 million subscribers, and yeah, I've listened to him, and he's like super freaking smart.
That's what I'm
Uh,
saying. People like him, like people with the like
The young kids is who I'm most excited about.
right, young kids.
yeah,
But like
like
people that
he
are
attracts
very
that base.
educated and
Yeah.
like professional at talking about this stuff. You know that
Yeah.
Dean Withers is like people like even if it's like I hate to say this, but like Charlie Kirk or whatever. And I've seen videos of him trying to
Oh,
talk to him. But I want to see that like debate. I want to see him go with to Charlie.
Really good. Well,
No, he won't do it, but I want to see it. I want to see that debate. I want to see
yeah,
both sides and hear them out and whatnot. Uh,
yeah.
it's just like a Christian and Muslim or Christian and atheist debate. Oh, go ahead,
Yeah,
Damien.
Damien,
Yeah,
go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
You brought up a really good point, Deadpool. Um,
That's my other
Deadpool.
name too. I have many names.
you're good,
You can
man.
carry him whatever.
nah, nah,
Fuckface. I'll go with that.
Oh
Deadpool.
my
I
goodness.
have a very interesting point I want to make.
Okay.
So overall, what Joe said, I agree, but I think the Republicans did a phenomenal job of advertising, marketing their party within TikTok, social media, and the Democrats did horrible at it. We did. But that's not the point I wanted to make. Um, fudge.
You should have went with the
Take your
original point
time.
then, man. You
Take
should
your
have went with
time.
the
If
Yeah.
you think if you think of it, just stop talking. Oh, there we go.
Well, well, actually, yes, I actually remember now because
Uh-huh.
I think we need more qualified candidates. There was an interview between Charlie Kirk and the governor of California.
Newsom. Yeah.
Did y'all watch that or
I
no?
hadn't seen that,
Oh,
no.
Yeah,
I
there
don't
was
know.
a
Maybe.
and keep in mind the governor from California. He's very blue, right? He governs California for crying out loud.
you're
He
not Arnold still?
there
Or...
were certain things that
Oh, okay.
he was in the middle about that Charlie Kirk talked about. You know?
So yeah, stuff like that. I would be interested in watching and whatnot. I find these things entertaining and whatnot. So like that's what I would like. That's where how I would like absorb my information or whatever, And I would be inclined to watch it and learn from that. You know,
I
I also
have.
learn from people through conversation. So
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
No. I have very aggressive feelings about Charlie Kirk. Uh, but I do
Sure.
enjoy watching the interviews with him and other people who challenge him because yeah, like you get to see like both sides going back and forth about it. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah,
But
I even like watching people I don't agree with just to see what their talking points are and what to expect other people will start saying too.
Yeah.
Rather
Like
than saying, "Oh, I should do."
I'm more independent. I do go towards the Democratic side, but I listen to AM radio like all day when I'm driving around. I listen to Clay and Buck and just to get their side and to hear their perspectives, to hear their talking points and what their side is discussing, to be able to engage with people that are on that side. So it's good
Yeah,
to know each other's sides, like views and perspectives for
yeah,
sure. Like what things are on your mind, you think
yeah,
that affect your life.
and
yeah,
I don't like people that are like I don't want to listen to the opposition. I'm like, no, you need to know what the other person is going to think and say, be
yeah.
prepared for that, and know and
Otherwise,
have confidence.
you're like in
Yeah,
the
I know.
echo chamber. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And so, like, even though it might grind your gears and whatnot, like frustrate you, and this is what I told Caitlin in our like first year or less. Uh, let me finish 1 second. In our 1 year of our relationship, and she and like talking to her and having these conversations, she was getting frustrated within the first 5 minutes, and I go, "It's fine. Break."
Wrong.
I go, let's take a break, but like, let's not end the conversation. We'll just talk about it later. Blah blah blah. And I explained it how like it's like going to a gym. At first, it's hard. The first 5 minutes, it's gonna feel like really hard and whatnot. But you build it that endurance, that tolerance, that the skills and whatnot, and practice talking and whatnot. All this stuff will build and make you stronger and more educated and whatnot, and be able to talk longer for hours. And then we ended up talk like as we grew in our relationship ended up talking for hours on end almost every time we met, you know. So like from 5 minutes to hours, it just takes practice. But yeah, Damien,
Yeah, go ahead, Damien. You had
You
Yeah,
something
had
to
no,
say?
you were like,
yeah,
Are
no.
you
You
were
made
just
it. You made a good point too, and just capitalizing on that. It's like if like a governor from California can understand Charlie Kirk with certain points, what changes when you're on screen, when you're talking to the whole country? What changes? Why can't we resonate with them? Why can't we tell them, hey, Republicans, we feel this too, we feel it, we want this, but they don't, you know.
and that's because people have different views and opinions and whatnot. A lot of it's subjective, and so and that's why I kind of lean, which sound like it might sound impossible or whatever, but like I want I want to know as many true things as possible, as much as many objective things as possible. But in politics, it's a lot of subjectiveness, but I don't want to do subjective. I want to vote for objectiveness, and that's hard. And but in order to find what is objective or close leaning to objective, is that we have to talk and figure that out. You know, we got to
yeah, for sure.
work it out. But we're so divided, and we're don't most people don't even want to figure that out and talk and whatnot. So that's why I say it starts there. There's conversation. You know,
Yeah, but that
first
is
step is conversation.
one of the things that the these not all Republicans, not Republicans in general, but this specific administration that we have right now is hell bent on tearing down public education, and the reason is because an uneducated society is a lot easier to manipulate, to be lied to, and buying those lies and not understanding what they're voting for, and voting for just one issue, or literally just voting for the candidate without
yeah, for
knowing
the
a
candidate
single
what they
issue,
stand for. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So speaking of that education, back to like the questioning that we were doing earlier, uh Deadpool, you said that
The name stuck.
Yeah.
yes.
I'll take anything.
I
I
mean,
mean,
it's
they should pay me. I'm like a sponsor. They're
Yeah, I
sponsoring
know.
me.
Yeah.
I
Hey.
feel like it's either that or Thor, because like you got like thunder coming out of your head right now.
I will
Yeah.
take the
I
background, man.
mean,
I've always
Thor
I
might be
took
kind of
I
cool.
complimented you on the background earlier. I said it makes you look powerful. It's like
Yeah. So,
I
Hey.
am
yeah,
Zeus.
you have
Oh,
something. Go ahead.
Yeah. I just want to say, Deadpool, you convinced me today, Deadpool, that next election I'm not voting. Forget,
I
All
forget
mean,
right,
it.
all right, all right. Let's not go there yet. Not quite yet. Okay.
she's like, I haven't finished my questioning yet. Hold on.
Right,
hey,
right. There's
but if
more,
that's your
guys.
decision, kudos. But like, I don't want. I'm not here to convince you to not vote, but I'm here to convince you to think better or to like
Yeah.
think about what you're doing.
You are
You know,
still on the grill right now. You're still on the grill.
I'm cooking. I'm
It's
cooking. Oh
gonna,
shit.
it's gonna get hotter. Yeah,
Okay.
I got lightning bolts, so we'll see
yeah.
how
It
this
Let's
can't
see
get
emerges.
how
any
much
hotter
hotter
than
can it
that,
get.
right?
He's already bargaining.
I'm already red.
And he's in
You
Yeah,
red
know.
yeah,
too.
already.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's true. That's true.
I
All right.
wanna
So
wait. Can I take my clothes off right now or what?
Oh my goodness.
I don't.
I'm
Well,
done.
I mean, I'm not monetized, so
Oh
I guess.
Lord, man.
I don't need a birthday dance, man. Come
Hold
on.
on,
Yeah,
hold on,
we're
hold
good.
on.
I know we're third
Oh,
cousins, but
oh
The
man.
poor baby lamb.
Poor
Don't let him see.
poor man.
All right, all right.
right.
So
Back
the
on topic. Come on.
question, back to the question, okay? So you said earlier that you feel like you're not politically educated enough to vote uh, currently or in the past. So what would educated enough look like to you? Like how much or where would you get your knowledge in order to feel like you are educated enough to
Uh,
vote?
I think that leans sort of close to the question that was asked previously, or whatever, or at one
Okay.
point. Is that, what would convince you to vote, or whatever kind of question?
Yeah, when I
Because
asked you
like
that earlier,
I
yeah.
said, that my response to that was like kind of like the religion thing. What evidence would make you believe? What kind of evidence would make you believe that there is a God? I don't know, but
Mhm.
until there is enough sufficient policies or education, whatever, to convince me that will be what convinces me to vote, or what will make me inclined to vote. So only until then would I know.
Hmm. So you're basically saying that it's not necessarily about how much you know or how good a candidate is, or like how much you agree with that candidate rather, but more so like a personal feeling
Uh,
or
I would say I don't know the answer to it. Among a lot of other things I don't know the answers to, but
that's okay.
but it's like it's to the individual anyway. Regardless, it's up to them how what they think is sufficient for them to vote. That's why I'm not saying no one should vote. I'm just saying the people that take it upon themselves responsibly look back at yourself and say, like, do you think that you're qualified to vote yourself? And not to point anybody else's finger like you're not qualified to vote, but I can still have my opinions that you're not qualified to vote. But I can't just say, well, I think you're not qualified to vote, so you shouldn't vote. And that shouldn't be right. You know. Yeah, go ahead, Damien.
Yeah.
Question for you, Lamb. So I voted for Kamala because I knew what was Trump capable of. That's what I thought, what I think he's capable of, right? Some really bad things, and I didn't really like Kamala. I voted for her just because she was Democrat, but that's not the point. The point is, if I voted for Kamala Harris, but Trump ends up solving our economy issue, then I would have not been knowledgeable, right? Like I would have been in the wrong.
Just to make sure I got that clear, just say it again. So I make
Yeah, I don't think I understood that either.
yeah.
So okay, so say like I did vote for Kamala,
Mhm.
but Trump because I think Trump is gonna be bad, right? But Trump
Sure,
ends up solving
being
the whole
good.
economy.
Yeah. You
Does
say
Hypothetically.
solving things, right?
yeah
So in other words, ends up being good, right?
yes
Yeah.
does
Okay.
that make me a person that shouldn't have voted? Like, am I
So based off that, you
not
made the vote.
knowledgeable?
You made that vote based off thinking that what. Man, okay, I
Well,
don't know if
but
I can describe
I
this, but
think I understand it. Like,
okay.
you think the good decision is over here, while you think, and think Trump is not a good decision, and be horrible, but ends up
Or
being good anyway. Was
for the
that your
economy?
bad decision?
Yeah.
But I would think is it based off the things that the policies that he said he was going to do and he did it, and then that's what became him good, or the policies that he said he was going to do didn't do, and those policies were good, right? So either way, if he ignored what he was supposed to do, and did the good stuff anyway, right? He lied to you, or it wasn't true what he did, right? But he did good by ignoring what he said he was going to do, or he did what the
Damn.
policies were good. The policies were good, and he did what he said he was going to do, and you just didn't look at the information or whatever. Either way, it's hard to know. You're just putting him in a good position no matter what. Either he did what he said he was going to do, or did not what he said he was going to do, and still ended up being good anyway. So it's kind of like a hard position, but like if you voted, it's also like I think the element of it is like, were you educated in what he said he was going to do, or lack of information he gave you that he said
No,
that ended up
Can
what
I?
no.
he ended up doing,
I knew what he was gonna do. I just
So
didn't think he
I
was gonna
think, are you trying to say like, so you thought you were educated and you had you had the correct information to vote against Trump because you thought that what he was going to do in the economy was going to go wrong based on the
Yes.
knowledge that you had. So you're
Correct.
saying basically that what if what he did was actually did work, and
Yep.
you were
Mhm.
incorrect based on the knowledge that you had on that
Yep.
topic,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
Okay.
And so you had it sounds like misinformation at
Yeah.
that point. If you had information that you thought was bad, but it ended up being good, right? So some along the lines, your information was incorrect or not understood properly or something, right? So, or something that was out of your own bounds, that it was like something that you don't even understand or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
kind
I
of
mean,
like
there's many things
complicated,
that could cause that difference. Yeah,
right?
yeah. But no, I know. I think he's just questioning, like, how do you that
Or like,
even though
yeah.
you think you know everything about a subject or a policy, there's always something that you might not know based
Yeah,
on your vote, basically, for voting
yeah.
for a
But
policy.
I think,
Yeah.
let's say that you tried to do your best or whatever to do the right thing, and ended up being the wrong choice, or the ended up doing something different that you thought. You know, I think that's what all people can do, and that's why they vote is like to do the best thing that they do for the they try to do, vote for the right thing, and that's why they do it, right?
So Caitlin's asking a question for Damien. Are you saying there are people who voted for Trump and are okay with all that is happening?
I don't think that's
There's
what
Like,
I'm asking.
not people that are not crazy, that in everyday life, that are not like some like that are still trying to justify things that Trump is doing, like in everyday life, not just like celebrities or something, or
Yeah,
news.
like people you know personally, I guess.
yeah, there's a lot of friends I have that do support Trump what he's doing right now.
Yeah,
So
I would imagine
You might
a
need
lot
a
of
new
people.
friends group.
no, but that's the thing though. That's exactly the thing though. Like I love them. They're like family and
Yeah.
they love me too. It's like that's what really kind of makes me sad. Is like, bro, we love each other, but we're letting politics get in our way. Like,
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
and I think I believe that the politics divide people, or at least politics is being used as a tool to divide people.
Yeah, because they make us choose these choices on these bills they want to pass, that they know it's gonna affect a certain amount of
Yeah,
people. So there's always gonna be a percentage of the population that's gonna be upset
yeah,
because like they're not looking at a bill that can, that's for everybody. That's like what we were discussing earlier. I said take five topics that we know we all agree on and everybody gets that.
hmm
It's like
well,
you can't denounce that from anybody's life, basically.
hmm
what five topics would you choose?
Oh, I
I'd
don't know.
like
I
to
mean, I
hear.
said I said
But
healthcare would be one. I mean, I don't know.
it's kind of like similarly to what the founding fathers, for the Constitution, they agreed upon something and made it like law or whatever the fuck. They agreed on something and tried to make it that, like make it objective or something. Like this is what it is. We all agree on it. Let's use this, right? Sure, changes along the way, but like the point is that they agreed on something.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, yeah. Where you have an agreement, correct?
Mhm.
And that's something we can't. It's very rare these days that we can
And
come to an
and we
agreement.
need to we need to do what they've done. Uh, 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 sure, changes along the way, but like, because I can't let that go because there are changes too. But like, but that is what the foundation of or like what we look at in order to like to have rights or to show what our rights are or whatever, that we look at that as close as like how I said it earlier, like as close as objective as possible, you know.
Yeah. No, I
So
was thinking what you just said, Damien, like about your friends and your group of friends. I was making a joke,
Yeah.
but on a serious note, like if you look at these friends that you have, or whether it be family or people that you know at work or whatever, and don't don't ask them who they vote for, or don't keep in mind who they vote for or what party they're on, but think about like what are the top, like the guys mentioned earlier, like top five things that you care about, right? And I'll say some of mine. Okay, like if I were to look at things like women's rights, because I obviously am a woman, trans rights
Spicy.
because what'd you say?
You should
Oh,
just say
Yeah,
spicy.
human.
spicy.
I think that should just be human rights. Like that could be
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
categorized all of the above in
Well,
that.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, like trans rights because I have people that are very close to me who are trans, and healthcare rights because a lot of my family members have very severe health issues, and I would like to see them have that as a basic human right. And I don't know, climate change, for example, because I care about what happens to future generations, not just my generation right now. And when I die, I don't want that to be like the end of what, how what's left after that. Like I do care about that. So let's just put those right, and without politicizing them, without thinking about the politics around it, or who voted for what or whatever. Like, where do these people that I surround myself with stand on those issues? And that's what I look at when I think about people, rather than think about what party they stand on. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and that leans towards what I was talking about, like that separate the candidate or whatever politician out of it. If you were to talk to people and just talk about the policies, remove the name from it of the
Yeah.
person, and just talk about the policies and be like, hey, what policies do you agree on or disagree on, and let's talk about that. And be like, okay, let's count them up and whatnot, or see where they fall, and be like, okay, so from this, even though, like, for example, you say you're Republican, but all these that you agree on are Democrat. Sounds like you're a Democrat, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, Damien.
Yeah. Don't look at Democrat as a face, as a person, and like whatever stigma or whatever that's in your head, just focus on the policies and ignore the face or the what you think how bad a side is.
Yeah.
Focus on this,
Well,
you
that
know.
the two party system that works perfectly with them. Like we said, how it creates separation because it
Mhm.
forces you to choose one of those sides and choose one of those sides as your representation. Say like, oh, I'm a Republican or a Democrat. You're the one or the other.
I'm
Um,
gonna I'm gonna start
go ahead,
saying
Damien.
Damien.
purple. Sorry to
You're gonna.
interrupt, but I'm gonna start just going everywhere. I'm like, hey, I'm purple. That's all I'm gonna
Yeah, and I've said
say.
this. I said this at
Right.
MA, right? And when someone at some point, even though they were like they didn't agree with me on not voting or whatever, but at some point they're like, I don't like any party or I don't like any candidate, and I go, welcome to the purple party. You know, I was like, we agree more than we disagree, and you just don't know it. You know. And he goes, "Oh, I know we agree more than we disagree," but I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm not saying that I'm a purple party, but like if I were to label it or whatever, describe it, that's what I am."
Yeah.
But like when people just think that like when I say those words, I don't vote. They already jump on me as if I'm a third party with no color or whatever. They just like, I'm as
Yeah,
bad as the
if you don't
opposite
side with one or
team.
the other, then you're not allowed to play basically.
Yeah,
Yeah, but I think that in the current political environment, a lot of people are scared to say that publicly, that
yeah,
I'm not a Democrat and I'm not a
yeah,
Republican. I'm kind of like in between because
yeah.
they think that people will make them choose one side or the other and then vilify them for that, whatever the side are on. So it's hard. It's hard to be in the middle.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
And
is.
another thought that I've had or a conversation is like with my dad years ago when I was coming out as not necessarily an atheist, but as far as the politics goes, and we were having this politic conversation, and he was like, "Well, you have no voice if you don't vote." I go, "No, I have a voice. Ask me what I think, and I'll tell you. But like, if I vote." You don't know what the fuck I'm voting for. If I said I'm a Democrat or Republican or Democrat, you don't know what I voted for. You don't know what my voice is. You just know a label. You just jump to conclusions of what I voted for, why I voted for that person. But you didn't never ask me what I think. Just ask me and I'll tell you. That's my voice. You know, and then he goes, other people as well as him is like, well, it's your right to vote. I go, it's also my right to not vote. Like
Yeah.
I have freedom to not vote, and I'm doing that. That's what I'm not forced to do what I don't want to do. I don't want to vote, so I like it. And in the same way of religion, how I see it is, you have freedom of religion. You also have a freedom to not believe anything that you don't want to believe. You're not forced into believing a god or whatever. So I have that right too. So like, if you're forced to believe in God, like Yahweh or Zeus or Allah, then you really don't have any freedom to not believe it, right?
Yeah.
So this is how I see politics in the same way as religion
Right,
too.
right. Kind of like the parties are like the different
Mhm,
religions, but they're like
mhm.
the people that don't vote are kind of alienated, like
I,
atheists.
I see them in this metaphor, as a religion. I see non-voters as atheists or
Yeah,
agnostics or whatever. You
yeah.
know, they're,
Like
they're just
the minority.
disassociated with that belief or that party or
Yeah,
that system. You know.
gotcha, gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay, that
yeah.
makes
Yeah.
a
No, I
lot of
like
Otherwise,
that
sense.
comparison. That's
Uh,
a good comparison.
yeah, I hadn't actually thought of it that way before, but
yeah,
yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
It's just
yeah,
power structures, like systems of power. I mean,
yeah.
it's similar. I
There's a
think we.
lot of parallels in politics and religion. You
Yeah,
know.
Damien, go ahead.
Oh,
Well, a question to all of y'all.
Okay.
Question to all of y'all. Why don't look overthrow our government, right? Let's make AI. No, let's make AI our government. Let's do it.
I don't know
Okay,
about that.
let me tell you a funny story about AI.
Go
Let's
ahead.
hear
What?
it.
AI try to
I'm interested.
get with me.
my AI. Okay, so Joe and I share one, and sometimes we use the same one, but he mostly uses it, and then sometimes I use my own separate account that's not paid, and my individual account only gets input from me, and it's definitely an atheist. Okay, it's definitely an
It's
atheist.
learn
Like
and learn
I've
apology
asked
abuse.
it, yeah, like I've asked it some questions before, and it will reply with like really sarcastic, like stuff. Like I was like the other day,
But
I was like,
do you ask it a lot of religious questions and stuff, or religious
well,
Is it
topics?
yeah,
like
I'm
algorithm
assuming.
though?
I use it to help me like with come up with like say I'll ask it a question like to help me come up with topics, or like I will write a really long thing and help it organize it for me. So it
Yeah.
does have a
So
lot of atheist content because it's like for my channel. And so I think that's why. And sometimes I'll go
Yeah,
and ask, like I'm doing research and about topics that I'm gonna use. So I'll ask it questions to help me like figure out what
but
to
is
come
that
up with.
based on your algorithm? Like they built an algorithm out of your AI. So basically, your AI is now biased to tell you
Right,
what you
right.
kind of most likely want out of it.
yeah,
So
Uh,
it's me, but funnier.
yeah,
it's
but
you and
funny.
funnier.
Right?
So you will you trust it
Oh,
running the
they're
government
that's what
then?
they're doing. They're building. Well, I wouldn't say that, but they're building
So
people AI out of people talking to them, and then creating
Yeah. So that
an
so
AI
we're
out of
actually like
you.
we're respawning. They're like they're cloning our
Yeah,
personalities
cloning
basically through
us
AI.
into
AI.
AI.
Yeah.
That's what the fuck they're doing.
I'm gonna
Me and
start
Caleb
telling
been
my
trying to
AI
figure
some
this shit
crazy
out.
stuff.
Okay, Damien, I'm sorry.
maybe. But so like my point was
Oh,
to
yeah,
what
yeah.
Damien said, like if we use AI as our government or whatever, like then it will be uh it will be very biased towards whatever whoever is inputting information into it. Like
Yeah,
you can't make it think for itself.
yeah. I
I
feel like the
vote.
Brady Bunch.
I know.
Oh
It's
man, that's hard. You're
But
right.
Damien, go,
yeah, go
Damien.
ahead, man.
But what if AI can make a mind of its own and do it all for us?
But
Um
that would
It
be
would have to become
scary though.
aware, right? It would have to become aware.
But
So
yeah, there's like programs that to make it self-aware and self-conscious and whatnot. Like there's video game that this rumor that I've heard of college students, like 12 of them, made a video game on a disc that makes like a Sims game, but they create their own worlds and then they know that like they build their a game inside their game and what I don't know, but they
Yeah, it sounds
recreate everything and they have a consciousness and whatnot.
wow. Yeah,
But I don't
yeah,
know if
but
it's
I
true.
would
That would
think
be
it would
scary.
be
I have to look into that.
very knowing what we know about consciousness and the way that the brain works, I really don't see it happening until we're able to maybe recreate somebody's brain structure or like connections, which I'm sure people are trying to do. But like AI as it is right now, I don't think it has the capabilities to become self aware. It's
But
just
I think it
solely
will
based on what you put
eventually.
into it.
I think,
Eventually,
Sooner,
maybe. I don't.
sooner,
I'm
I
sure
Sooner
we
mean,
than
could.
I
later.
mean, isn't that the goal of what
Because
people are trying to do? Kind of like Jurassic Park. Like they're gonna find a way. They're gonna
yeah,
do it. It's like the sci-fi of the everything that we're watching. They're people, scientists, whatever, are trying to make that a possibility,
Oh yeah, like
right? And they don't
Neuralink has
care.
already brought that to
And
light.
they don't care about the consequences. They just care to do it. They just want it to be a possibility to become
money,
real. Yes, and money. Yes,
money.
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
or the
And I
song
think
I,
violin. Oh,
hey,
Right.
hey, like I said, I wouldn't mind AI being, I don't know, the
You
almighty.
no,
want you want it to run
no,
everything for you. You want AI
no,
to make all your
no,
Well,
because at
decisions.
that point,
just
there's you become useless in society if they
hey,
become the control of all things. There's no use
yeah,
for you in this world anymore.
so how do we
And
get?
me and Caleb been talking this conspiracy thing, not to say that it's true or whatever, just like theorize about it or whatever. Is that if there's no use to people anymore, what are they going to do to people? And I'm like, at the worst that they can do is concentration camps.
So
Like they're what?
do we
Hey.
need to make laws against
Yeah,
this like right
see,
now? Should we be putting that stuff in place?
now that I said it, it kind of makes sense. Why? What is the point of people if robots are doing everything?
Yeah.
but
What?
they
Well,
Why?
already are doing that. They
I
Yeah.
already
mean,
are
yeah,
trying to do that
we
with.
have you seen some of these robots that they've created? I mean,
Yeah, like
they're
there
getting
no,
fairly
what is
advanced.
it? The Dark
Yeah.
Factory or whatever? Someone showed me the Dark Factory in China. Dark Factory in China, and
Okay, I haven't seen
that's
that.
fucking
Let me
scary as
see.
shit.
Yeah, when you start
Look
putting
that shit
the
up.
putting that
But
mixing
Elon's been
that with
trying to
AI,
copy their ass.
it's
Oh,
just
okay.
crazy.
Yeah, it's like a few years ago or something, or somewhat recent or something, but of the Dark Factory. But I believe Elon is trying to copy their behavior and how he's trying to do it for Amazon, or if it is Elon, but like Amazon,
Jeff Bezos.
what's
Yeah,
his
Jeff
name?
Bezos.
But
they want the
whatever.
robot workforce. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Yep.
they're just not doing it efficiently as China is. But they're copying their behavior. They're trying to follow their direction. Go ahead, Damien.
Question to that. So we see how the economy is, right? Then there's a new era coming into.
Yeah.
We're living in a new era, technology.
Oh
So
yeah,
Yes,
we
yes.
are
where are we?
definitely. We're at the forefront.
This is how
We're
we
already in the
got to this
past.
point. Me and Caitlin's conversation, how we got to what the conclusion of what I just said came from
Yeah.
the economy conversation of like, well, why make it hard for people to live and whatnot? Like eventually, when it comes down to it, if people can't provide for themselves and whatnot, like people the what's left of them, it goes back to the phrase that I like to say is like, give me liberty or give me death. If they don't have liberty, and what else are they're going to live for if not death? So they're going to retaliate, and they're going to do something. And I believe theories and whatnot, conspiracy, not to be true or not, but what I'm thinking is, I think the government is trying to get people to fight against, like to fight the government, so they can
Oh
fight the
yeah, yeah.
people, and
No,
the
but
government
it's
be like,
true.
I'm the
There's no
victim.
way.
I'm the victim because the people are harming us. So we had to do something about the people. And
Yeah.
But
so
they literally are already doing it with
yeah,
immigrants. They're
but
already rounding up
but
all
they're
the
doing it
immigrants and
now.
taking them
That's
away.
what I'm saying. But it's going to get a whole lot worse. Like it's going to
Yeah.
Yeah.
get like there like a conversation I had with someone was like oh, who like the metaphor I use in this conversation is like a person like a nerdy kid versus a bully, right? And I go like if you have all like, or the movie Bug, like Bug's Life or whatever, you got all the ants right against the grasshoppers. There's more ants and whatnot, and that can attack, overpower the grasshoppers. But with the bully and whatnot analogy, I go, but if the bully has like nukes and shit, and the people all only have like toothpicks or like a baseball bat, you have no chance to fight over a person with nukes, no matter how many people you have, no matter how many baseball bats you have. They got fucking nukes. They got more weapons that you can't even imagine, that you don't even possess. And do you think you're gonna win? It's not even possible.
No, but they don't even need that because like I said, they are currently doing it
Mm-hmm.
one minority at a time because they know that by taking out each small group, then they can take everybody out, right?
Yeah.
They start with the immigrants, then the trans people, the LGBTQ people, the people of color, the disabled people. 1 second. And the
I know. We're
then
just speaking up for Damien, but yes.
yeah, the lower class. And so they are going group by group by group and taking
Mm-hmm.
them out. The
Slowly, yes.
Bawari said
Yeah.
that the people who have disabilities like mental disabilities, or who are taking antidepressants, ADHD, autism, that they want them to go into these wellness retreats, aka
Mm-hmm.
camps. All right,
Sure.
so they are already trying to get rid of, like, weed out the populations that they don't want, so they can keep the populations that they do want. Damien,
Mhm.
go.
Dang, you made a freaking crazy point at the end, AJ. Wow, that's crazy. I don't, that's kind of. It sounds very too crazy. Kind of sounds far fetched. That's how crazy it is.
This
Yeah,
It's
but
not.
But
it's
but
not far fetched. But what I'm
It's
saying
already
is,
happening.
to what you agree, what I'm agreeing with you, that they don't need to get to that point of like say nukes. But I'm saying to exaggerate, like
Oh yeah, yeah.
how far to where like it can't go any further of like the peak. Like it there's nothing you can do that can reverse a nuke, or like can fight a person with a nuke. Like they
Yep.
don't have to use a nuke, but they can.
They
They
have it
they
up there.
could if
Yeah,
they wanted to, but they
yeah,
don't have to use it because they can do it without it. But like they have nuke is like their for lack of argument or sake of argument, sake of argument is that is their that is like we can hey, we can conceptualize like how powerful they really are versus how weak we really are, and
yeah.
understand that on a fundamental level,
yeah,
like
like
a simplistic
the
level.
visualize the difference of the level of power. Basically, you're
Hmm.
saying,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, I see
yeah.
that.
They don't need to get there, but we know that even if we look at them from the bottom and look up, there's no way we can do anything. No matter how many people there is, if we try to like attack them, right? And so, if they and they're doing it slowly and whatnot, like you're saying, that they don't need to use it. But like, there's nothing we can do. I don't think there's nothing we can do unless like we do it a Trojan horse way, where the people from the inside actually change something the way we want them to change. But that's even more
But
difficult.
that's
Uh,
what the Trump administration is doing right now, though. They're injecting, all of these people with their views and
mhm.
perspectives, and like in our courts, in places of power that can dismantle these other, organizations that we have within the government that are for us, and just dissolving them. And they put them in, people in power to be able to do that, to basically change the whole system. But I
Yeah,
agree, it could be done just the opposite. You can rebuild it that way as well, by regaining control of
I think that
those parts
because
of the
me and
government.
Caleb are starting to like read the Constitution book and try to study it a little bit. And I'm thinking, like, even if we use the Constitution, we can't even use the Constitution against them if they're so much in power that basically we could recite what the Constitution says and be like, okay, so
Yeah, like the
well,
Constitution is just a word at that point. But
I,
if they have
I
control of the
we
court systems, it's like,
fuck the Constitution. We're in power now. Fuck that shit. So
Yeah,
They
that's like
already
the check and balances with the with circuit judges. They're trying to
And I
to
don't trust
gaslight
the check
everybody
and
and make them think
balances.
that yeah. I mean, it's there. We're supposed to just be hopeful that those checks and balances will work. But I've
Yeah, you
seen
put in faith and
yeah.
belief in it,
But
but I
I've
don't
seen
even believe
so
in
many
that it's
instances
working.
where where they're being checked to where I feel like there's been some issues and it went unchecked basically.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
yeah,
been like a lot of very questionable things that have
yeah.
happened
And I think there's
constitutionally.
like a politician or president or something. I forget who, but it's uh like I think even though people, I think it's Reagan, and I know people don't like Reagan, and I was like, I do like what Reagan said. Like one quote is like, if a politician says, I'm from the government, I'm here from the government, and I'm here to help, it's the most dangerous words that you could ever hear, right?
That's
But
true. That's true.
along with that, I had a conversation in my group, friends of people, and someone goes, uh, you should trust the government. I go, no, the government
Oh
doesn't
yeah.
even trust the government. That's why there's three branches. But I go, I
Good
don't trust
point.
the government. I don't trust you. I barely trust my wife, but
Oh
I don't
man,
even trust me, because
barely
anyone
trust
can lie
myself
to me.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I can't even trust myself, why would I trust anyone else, right? Like anyone can lie to me, right? It doesn't matter who you are, who I think you are, or what relationship I'm in. You have the potential to lie to me and manipulate me, you know. So I have to be on my toes constantly to make sure I have to protect myself from everybody else, you know. So why the fuck would I trust the government when the government is only looking out for its own benefits, not really looking out for me? And I've had this conversation with other people. If the government is seems like they're benefiting you or whatever, I believe they're only doing it to benefit themselves. They're not really trying to do it for you, but as long as they get something out of it, they'll do it. You know.
Let me ask
So
you something. Okay, I have a
mhm,
question about what you were just saying. So let's say you mentioned that you were reading the Constitution. Let's say you finish reading it,
mhm.
and I don't know, like you read other books on politics, and you research your local candidates, and you research the local policies that are being put out there, or propositions and stuff. Do you think that if you had all that, if you felt educated enough to vote, but you still did not support the system as a whole, you will still not vote?
If I don't trust the system, then I don't think I would vote. Uh,
Okay.
but there's another phrase or something I've heard. I think I've heard before. It's like I don't trust anything I don't understand, right? And I don't think anyone should trust anything that they don't understand. You should understand or trust things that you do understand, you know. And some things that you do understand, I don't think you should trust it either. But like on the things that you do trust, I think you need to understand, you know.
And do you think that learning more will help you understand and trust it more,
I
or
think learning more would definitely help me understand it more, but that
okay?
doesn't necessarily make it mean that I trust it more.
All right.
But I would have to be convinced enough to that I do trust it, and I don't know what that it would take for me to
Yeah,
trust it.
of course.
But
Right, right,
but
right.
the
Like we talked
education would
earlier, you're
help
not.
lean towards that. The education would help me lean towards trusting it, or at least the capability of trusting it. But as far as as I think how just looking at society and talking to people, I don't think majority of people even trust it in the first place.
I have a
You
question
know.
for you. Are there any governments currently that exist like on Earth that you feel are set up correctly, or that you would trust? Like if you lived in that country, you would trust their political system, or again, it's based on what the people are voting for and what the issues and then in terms of like you would have to be knowledgeable on still on what they're voting for. It's not really the political system or the way the system is set up for voting. It's more the ideology of what of what the population is voting for. Is that my understanding? Maybe I don't
I
know if
think
I'm
it's
asking it
both.
correct. Yeah.
It's a combination of both. Because if I disagree on the policies, but I don't agree on the system, then basically my beliefs on the policies, if I don't trust the system, my beliefs on the policies are useless into putting into an effect.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I can
So
be
you
like, I
you agree?
support
So
this,
you
but
do
like,
think that the U.S. system does have flaws, then, right? Like you
oh, yeah,
that's
well,
an
obviously,
that would be another reason though for you not to vote because the flawed system basically takes away your ability to have like I guess you would
Yeah,
say
like faith that they will put
more
them.
choice, yeah, and yeah, faith that whatever you voted for would be put into play and you weren't being lied to.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it would be
yeah,
kind of a system, the way the system is in place as well. Okay, all right, cool. Now I'm just trying to
yeah,
understand that better.
yeah. Yeah, I think we can all like majority. There's few that won't will say it's perfectly fine, it's perfectly good, but like I think as a whole, as society, I think we that we do agree on this. Like close to being objective is our system is fucked. Our system is broken, and if we agree on this on both sides, and a majority of people, then we can
I'll be back. Just keep
we
going, okay? Keep
yeah.
going.
But together we can maybe be able to find a solution collectively together. Like people are like quite often when I say that when I voice my opinions, and a lot of people are like, "Well, what's your solution?" I go, "I don't have a solution. I'm not saying I have one. I'm not
Yeah,
claiming that. But what I'm saying is maybe we collectively, as a society, as a nation, we can come together to find that solution together.
like let's
But
talk about
I
it.
can't do it on
Let's
my
see.
own.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Like I think this whole conversation tonight keeps leading back to that one key point. It's about
Yeah,
open discussion and understanding each what has led that person that you're speaking to come to those views, to those points. Like what in their life makes them come to that conclusion to have that view, and being
yeah,
able to openly talk to each other about that so we each understand each other more.
yeah, yeah. And that's where I'm like that. That's the crux of all things. It's like the foundation of all that I'm trying to get to is that everyone needs to talk, have this conversation, and be open and find an agreement. You know, but if we keep saying that everyone is wrong and that doesn't agree with me, no, we're in a bad place.
Yeah, it's like
You
you don't
know.
agree with me. I can't talk to you. You're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm right.
Yeah.
That's the end of it. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
talk to you. Yeah.
And I know that Damien, I know you're religious, but like also I also know that you're not like that like huh dog but not like you're more liberal in a sense or whatever. So but like I said before, seeing politics like religion, it's like also with atheists as well, not just Christians or theists, but but from my perspective, to explain it a lot easier from my position, is that a lot of when I encounter Christians, they're like, if you don't believe me, then you're wrong, and I don't want to talk to you no more. Which is the whole concept of why my name is Sacrificial Lamb, and I pretend to be a Christian is to have that open conversation without all those walls and to be like, well, you're an atheist. Why are you even talking to me? Like, you don't know what you're talking about because you're an atheist. Why should I even think? Why should I even consider you? Why should I even have this time to talk to you when you don't even believe what I believe? Right. But as soon as I pretend to be a Christian and have those open conversations and not to say that they're wrong, not to deconvert them, but just to have a conversation about the Bible, I'm able to do that because I've removed those walls because I pretend to be a Christian and I can have that conversation. Even though it's a lie that 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 I'm not a Christian, but I found a way that I'm able to have conversations with Christians about the Bible and not to be shamed or to look like I'm wrong about what I think about the Bible. So
Yeah. No, man. I just want to say I respect that, man.
mhm.
I think with this election, I've been very disappointed in the religion. The Christianity. I've been disappointed in the Democratic Party. Democrats. It's like you said it perfectly, man. There's like this whole system is screwed, man. We
we
can't
all
find
we
common
all
ground.
know this.
We
But
all know it, but
but
why what can we do?
both parties are
What
to
can we do?
blame.
Let's start finding out what we can do.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of just like instead
We
of
need the
just like
solutions.
stopping there and be like, what can we do?
Well,
This is all the only tool
if
what
we're
we
gonna
have.
work
Okay.
if we're
Find
gonna
a
work with the
better
same
tool.
system, then we have to start from like I talked earlier, your local, and
Oh,
state elections, and you work your way up. But
yeah.
Yeah,
I
here's
mean,
an
I
idea.
go ahead,
Kind of
AJ.
kind of like what Sacrificial Lamb was just saying about like the parallels between religion and politics. Like when you're looking at it, like let's say uh, in politics, you have like this whole messed up system that we no longer think is accurate or useful for our current society or generation. And same with like say the Bible, like we have seen a lot of flaws in it. Are there parts that people believe in that are good? Yeah, of course. And so hold on to those and throw away the rest of the baggage.
Yeah, you could
So
the
same with
same with the
politics,
government.
same
Yeah,
with the
the
government.
government.
Like
Yeah,
hold on to the parts that are right and throw away the whole
the
baggage,
rest of it.
and
Yeah,
let's
Yeah.
let's start fresh, like
Yeah.
let's go in the right direction that we
evolve it as
often
we have evolved
agree.
on in this,
Yeah.
Yeah.
as we've
And,
evolved, to
and,
have it
and
catch up.
And I say with the system that we have and like the analogy of it being like a tool, and that the tool isn't sufficient for the job or whatever. But I think we could just like improving the tool is to innovate it, to make it like to make it better, or find a better tool, create a better tool, but that does what it used to do but better, right? We could in such a way with the system of the system voting system or political system that we have. I think we can innovate it, but we have to work on what that innovation will look like. But we have to again work together to find what that innovation is.
So
Yeah, because
we just wait. We just
like
wait.
We can't wait.
I
We
don't
have to
know,
start
man.
now to talk about it. We
Can
have
y'all?
to
Do
start
Can I just
making
be?
drawing
Can I
up
be
blueprints and
frozen?
shit.
Y'all just
like
freeze
do we
me
wait two
and
thousand years?
wake me up in 2,000 years. Yeah, right.
Right. Fuck,
Man,
man.
But if we wait, the people that aren't waiting are the ones that are like taking over and conquering in such a way of like
yeah,
making
yeah.
it like the Trump thing and MAGA thing. They're conquering, so to speak, and which I hate.
Well,
But
then
like,
if you're not gonna vote, then you have to get out and try to push push to get people to get educated, basically, so that
yeah,
we can have educated people to vote.
yeah, that's what I've
Yeah,
Um,
been advocating for is
yeah, and
education.
that's a great way to advocate. Yeah.
because if you think about it, like
Education.
in the last presidential election, I think it was a third of the people that were eligible to vote did not vote. So that's like 70 million people. That's a lot of people. And you know, the, like yeah, I understand not voting if you're not educated enough because you don't want to do harm.
Hmm.
But I don't how do I word this? Like, do you think that it's more harmful to do nothing, to like not vote? Like for example,
To
if
just
you
pretend
don't
politics don't exist, basically.
No, not to that politics don't exist. I do advocate for people to continue voting, right? But to keep using the system in such a way. But as you use it, if that's what you believe, like if you believe that this is how you should do your thing, do your thing. But as you do your thing, like try to find a better way to do it or whatever. But if you don't believe that it works or that you don't believe in the system, don't use it. uh but I think Jimmy Snow, I've heard him multiple times say this, is that when it comes to the two party or the whatever candidates, And I think he aligns, or I agree with what he says. Is that uh, like when there's like I don't know how he worded it, but like paraphrasing, is uh, like if there are two wrong answers, don't vote for the wrong answer, right? Like you don't have to choose a wrong answer. But also the other idea that I have is like what comes to mind that I also use as metaphors is like the trolley system, where it's like two people on the tracks versus 10 or whatever,
Okay.
blah blah.
Like
And
which is
that's
the
kind of like the
lesser?
lesser
Yeah,
evil.
that's lesser
And
evil. Yeah.
yeah, and and people are like, you have to make a decision. I go, I but I kind of don't. I don't have to switch the lever left or right. I can the like the time that you think that there's only two options is when there's a you're limited to options is when there's illusion of choice. Try to find a third option or multiple options or find different methods or different ways. Like whatever, if you have enough time and resources or whatever, make another track. Whatever, I don't know. Have prevention to prevent this from happening, or try your best if you have enough time and resources. But whatever. My other thing is like with this trolley effect or whatever, is that most people think that you only have two options, whatever, in this concept of left or right. There's also like or like the same concept parallelism is that like fight or flight, but there's also freeze, which in the trolley system is like you don't have to flick it left or right, you just don't do anything, or like let other people can decide what they want to do left or right with the trolley thing. But as they're doing it, I'm not responsible for whatever action they choose to do, right? If they want to do this. I don't want to be a part of this system. I don't want to be involved of this trolley system, right? You think you have the right decision? That's on you. And whatever outcome it is, that you're responsible for that outcome. I don't want to be a part of that outcome,
But
responsible for that
but how do
choice
you
that you made.
but how do you feel though, thinking though that even though you don't have any part of that decision, that they're the ones that solely made that decision? How does it make you feel that that decision is still going to affect you, even if you don't you try to think that it's
It's
not
going to
going to?
affect me regardless if I vote or not, just as
True.
much as it
Okay.
will affect you regardless if you vote or not.
So
Like it's
wouldn't you
affecting
want
you
to
now,
have?
even though you voted, or I assume that you voted, right? It's still
Yeah.
affecting
True.
you now that you even voted, and it's you're being affected by people who also
True.
voted.
True.
You're
I
being
guess
affected by the
I
same
guess
system that you hate.
I try to make myself feel a little bit better, thinking that I at least had what point like
Yeah, sure.
1% that
Yeah,
that it
but
guided it.
no,
It
like
made
that small percentage that
it
that
moved it this much that I could have been like
wait
that much more worse, but it's just like
right, but
yeah. No, I
like
agree with what you're saying.
yeah.
There's been times where I didn't want to vote either because, like you said, it's like choosing the lesser of the evil. I was just curious, like,
Yeah.
it. I liked your response. That you're still gonna be affected by it no matter
Yeah,
what, you know.
everybody
So
will be.
yeah,
But like the people that the how Trump got here, it's the same system that you're using, right? As everybody else is using, right? And this is kind of like another argument that I use is like you don't like people who voted for Trump and now he's in office. They use the same system that you used. You just don't like it because it didn't go your way. They liked it because it went their way.
yeah, yeah,
When
Yeah.
Biden went over Trump, you were happy that Trump did get in. It went your way, but it didn't go their way, and they're upset. But you're using the same system as the people that you're going against. If it's not working together, we're fighting each other with it. It's like I don't know
yeah.
how people are using the same system and getting upset with the system that they're using when it doesn't go their way. You're playing the game and hating it when you lose.
Yeah,
That's
it
a fair
Yeah,
seems like
point.
there was like we were talking about how it needs to be over like the way our government set up needs to be overhauled because there are I don't think that our founding fathers ever saw the two sides using the system against each other, you know, to be able to cause
maybe
this much
that's I don't
division.
know.
Yeah, maybe they did. Maybe they did.
Yeah.
But I mean, that division creates so much power when that division is so strong. You know,
Yeah.
it gives those two sides both so much power. and I think that they work together, knowing that that division's there. The ones that are actually in that higher power, that are in those higher seats. I mean, yeah, again, money,
Small
money.
violin. No, just kidding.
So yeah, I mean, again, wow. I mean, it's scary to think about, because it makes you really realize how much we are not in control of the decisions that we get to vote for.
Yeah, and I think I forgot if it's Reagan again or whoever it is, but it's some old president. But it's like uh, how he described it was that America is like a car, and the people are the driver. You decide wherever you want to take it to go, right? You're in control, right? And not the government. The government is not the driver. The citizens are the driver. You decide where you want to go, right? But it just seems like everyone's trying to take over the wheel, and we're not trying to find the work together to a destination, an agreement of where we both want to go.
Yeah, we keep
Right?
turning around every time someone else gets the wheel. They do a 360, turn around and go
Yeah,
the opposite direction and then back the other way. It's like we're never like going.
we're
They're
never
going.
we're just going in circles,
Yeah,
never
yeah,
getting anywhere to
yeah.
a destination. Never. And if you agree on this, if you feel the same way as I do, then like that's how I feel. Why I don't vote, you know?
No,
Like
I agree
I
with a
feel
lot of
like
your stuff, and there's been times I haven't voted just for that same
yeah.
reason. But then there's times where I did vote, even though I didn't, prefer either candidate, just because again I went for the lesser of the evil,
Mhm.
because like the percentage level of how much more
Mhm.
uh, the things that they were for were enough to where I felt that those things were like really like key points of things that would affect me and my wife's like life. Like healthcare
Yeah.
was like a major thing. So I mean, when Trump was, I knew he would try to destroy healthcare. I made sure I vote against him, just because
Yeah.
that's like a really high key point in my life, in my family's life.
Yeah,
So
for
yeah,
me, I
but
feel like the stakes were pretty high, and I do understand that we will all really love to have a better system,
Yeah.
and that some people are working towards that. But
Yeah.
at this time, it is what it is, and ultimately, we do
but
have to decide between the lesser of two
yeah,
evils,
but
because
I
we are
completely
gonna
agree
get one of those
100%.
evils.
Yeah,
Yeah,
100%
Damien has
sacrificial
something.
lamb. Oh, go ahead,
yeah. I
Damien.
mean,
A question for Joey and AJ. Question for y'all. So if Trump would have been all in for a free healthcare, would you have voted for him?
I
well, I
wouldn't
don't
have.
care who he was.
I don't think I would have, because
Um,
I wouldn't have believed him. Like I don't know.
Yeah,
Like
so even if
okay,
you say that for everything that the Democrats would agree on, like healthcare, women's rights, said all the things, pandered to all the Democrats, but you knew that you didn't believe in him, but he said all the things that were convincing, you still wouldn't vote for him.
I don't think I would have,
Yeah,
because I know his
you know who he
personality, and
is.
yeah,
Yeah,
he already had 4 years of him, and I saw like how he
yeah,
was.
yeah,
If it would have been someone I didn't know his background, and come in and like told me all these great things, and I wasn't able to like research and know that he's a pathological liar, then possibly I would have went with it.
yeah, and see that part is also dangerous. It's kind of like how I kind of see like a religion or a con thing, like. The ignorance that you don't know about that person can tell you all the things that sound good and convince you that this product or and convinces you that you need to buy or believe this product or whatever is that like you don't know who he is or whatever, but everything he says sounds good, and then you'll buy into it without knowing anything about this guy. The only reason why you know Trump is because you know his previous thing, and I think a lot of people voted for him the first time, and not because they already knew him beforehand, but like if it was some other candidate, right? You never heard of, never knew, right? And would you vote for them not knowing their background or anything about them?
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the scary thing about what you just described right there is like the comparison that I'm sure you've seen this or you've read on it before. The comparison to the technique that was it was very similar to the way Hitler gained power, where you basically come in and say that you're not a politician, or you're
Oh
not for
yeah.
either party. You're against government, and you're gonna give the government back to the people. You're gonna take away
Drain
and
the swamp.
yeah, drain the swamp. That's basically it, and that's the same thing Hitler did when he took over, and got people to believe in him, uh, going against the two party system, in Germany during that time. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's just kind of scary how power can be gained with trust, when people were looking for somebody to trust, when they've
Mhm.
Yeah.
been, when they felt that their vote didn't count or their voice wasn't heard. You come in, when people are the most vulnerable, and make them feel like that you're the savior. You're there to bring them, to give them what they want.
Yeah.
So Joe, so Hitler was purple.
He pretended to be purple, man. He said he was
Mm.
purple, I guess, right? I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird mind fuck for sure. Like when you come in when people are
Vulnerable.
yeah, vulnerable, when people are tired of their government, and a voice comes in and says they're that change, and people fall in line and believe it.
So there's no solution. We're all
I
screwed.
don't know, but I think maybe we're
Well, that's where that's
uh,
where the
uh,
uneducated part comes in, because people are not educated enough. And I'm not talking about politics in general, but like people who are uneducated in pretty much anything, who have like no basic education, and they don't understand anything that's going on around them, and they just like buy all of these random things that this person is saying, like, oh yeah, like, I'm not for the government, I'm for the people. And it's bullshit. Like, he was not either for the government or for the
he,
people. He
he
was
just said some
just
platitudes.
for his own money. Yeah.
But the difference with Trump is that he does what he said he's going to do.
Yeah, but he's saying he's gonna do really horrible, shitty, hateful things, and he does them.
The people that's but I'm saying like there's people out there that
oh
believe
man,
that, you
but
know?
Wait,
that's
so
the
are you
horrible thing, that
saying
there's people that support that.
so are you saying that because he's saying like all these horrible things that people that he's still doing, and then people believe the lies because they see him telling the truth about those?
I'm just
So they
saying
think that he's saying the truth overall.
I'm just saying there's a lot of people that like him just because of what he's done with what he's trying to bring more jobs back into the US, and he's trying, and that's where people are mad at the Democrats. Like I hear a lot of people tell me like, yeah, what have the Democrats done to solve this major issue, Like to actually you have to change the system.
Oh,
Like the
you
economy,
have like
you
yeah,
have to,
there has to be change. Like yeah, I mean, I think everybody agrees that there has to be change, but the way that he's going about it, I think is
Yeah, he may
not the
be
right way.
bringing jobs to America, but how? Like
What
by
kind of
putting
jobs?
tariffs and making like everything super expensive and closing the borders and
Like
like
you should
literally
establish
throwing away immigrants
there
into
should have been
jobs.
investments like in local manufacturing first. You start building that infrastructure to where you're able to manufacture the things that you need, like microchips. I mean, we're starting to manufacture those here again. I mean, and they're needed in everything. Yes, we were very reliant on China, well, Taiwan in general, for a lot of our microprocessors. But to put tariffs on things that we need here that we can't manufacture ourselves, which is going to cause inflation, shouldn't you have built that infrastructure first to have that in place, and then people wouldn't have to go through 5-10 years of pain?
well, my question, I completely agree with you. I know Trump, like, it's a huge gamble what he's doing. But what I'm trying to ask y'all is like, why did the Democrats not do anything about this? They had 4 years. Like, why not take a step towards the right direction at least?
Well, they did do the investment for, with Intel and so forth, where we started building the plants here for to process chips. But that was after COVID, when we realized that that the
Hmm.
supply chain got fucked, during COVID, and we couldn't get stuff that we needed.
Trump
Well,
didn't do that. It was already there, but now he gets to take the credit because it's like,
I don't know.
well, I can
It's
make the same argument with the Republican side. Like right now, there's a bunch of U.S. companies investing into the U.S. market.
which
And I'm
is
not.
great. Which is great. They should give them
Exactly.
incentives. If companies invest here, then they should get incentives.
Trump has talked
Yeah.
about giving those companies tax exemptions,
I don't know about full tax exemptions, but
but
give them some type of incentive to make them want to invest here for sure.
and
Yeah.
he is doing that. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well, I'm not against that. I mean, that's a good thing.
And that's what a lot of people
Yeah.
like.
Well, that's what I don't. You weren't on earlier, but I'll tell this story. I have a friend who's very conservative. He supports some like he would support that, like what you just discussed about Trump, but he doesn't like Trump's other, some of his other shit, and just the way he has to be in the spotlight, and he's a loudmouth and so forth.
Yeah.
Makes us look like, America look like clowns, based on on him.
But people
So,
feed into that BS. So
how secure did you feel in your like your job and your financial security before Trump came along this last election? Were you doing okay
who?
financially?
Who?
You, Demin.
No, I know it's the situation hasn't been good. COVID. I know the reason. COVID. There was a lot of COVID really screwed our economy. Trump giving out free money, printing money out of the blue. I know the effects of Trump. I know
Wasn't
that.
out of the blue. It came out of our debt, didn't it?
Well, it's added to the debt. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I mean,
yeah.
but who's gonna pay that back? I mean,
No
it's
one.
like
Yeah,
it's
my
But
like
question
like,
is more like,
yeah, but that's what causes inflation, and nobody, they want to blame it on Biden. I mean, actually,
there you go.
inflation started going up right after Biden took over, but that was due to the economy was being restarted after being shut down all these years. We just
yeah.
went through the crazy years of COVID, and he actually stopped inflation from going out of control. Like if you look at I mean, I've looked at charts and looked at the numbers. I mean, you
Yeah.
see you see it go up and then it just stops, plateaus, and it starts going back down. And
Okay, this is where
global
the lack.
inflation was a huge issue, and the U.S. actually did fairly well.
Yeah, like this is where the lack of education comes in because people did not understand why the economy was the way it was. And when Trump came along and he was like, it's Biden's fault. They bought that.
Oh
And
yeah,
now
yeah,
what you're saying, like people are happy because he's bringing back jobs to America
yeah.
because
Well,
he's like fixing the
the
economy. No,
Democrats
he's
didn't
not.
do enough. Like they did. I don't know. I feel that they didn't do enough letting explaining that and spotlighting that Biden actually, maybe it wasn't Biden, but the Biden administration did a great job of handling inflation. Like I said, the U.S. fared better than any other country during the global issues that we had with the economies. So
And,
David is giving me out, man.
Joe, why?
you've told me that plenty of times.
What?
We've had discussions on this like
Yeah.
many times over, Damien. So I mean, I know that you agree with that.
Why did Kamala Harris not say anything
I don't
about
know.
why did she try to separate herself from the Biden administration? It was
But well,
completely
all right.
dumb.
I'm gonna say this. A lot of people probably don't want to hear this, but Biden should have never ran the second term. Okay,
Oh,
he
No,
yeah.
I
should
agree
have.
with that. I'm with you
I
on
We
that
should have
one.
had
100%.
another candidate. I mean, let Kamala let her ran. I'm okay if she would have ran, but they should have had they should have opened it up, and we should have had to vote on a new candidate.
Bernie.
I
But a
love
lot of
Bernie,
people,
but
which is crazy, were like, still, if it was Trump or Biden again, they would vote for Biden again and whatnot. So it's like and still again, I'd be like, I don't want any of them. Like both of them suck ass. Why are we having
I know.
only them two and they're the worst fucking people?
Can we? I
Can we
mean,
do it?
I
Can
don't
we
know.
get like? Can we
Is that
erase?
the best that we have? Right? It's the
Right.
president's supposed to represent like the smartest, like the best person we have out of all of our population, and we this is who we choose
Yeah,
from.
as a nation, this is who we
I know.
elected. I think we need to do better as a nation. But
Yeah.
of course, the joke, the meme of social media had it as like anybody else or whatever, like a vote for anybody else, right? Can we have a vote where it was like neither or none, like
Cat Williams said, "Can we just be single?"
can we just be single? Cat
A
Williams.
vote.
But
Anarchy.
can there be like, can we just vote if it came to it? Can there be a vote where everyone goes? Can we just erase everyone that's running and start all over? Like, can we get a
Yeah,
refresh of people?
yeah, like hit the reset button, right? Like,
Yeah,
okay, hold on, this is not the correct candidates that we should
yeah,
have had there. Let's
yeah.
restart it.
Yeah, fuck all these candidates. Let's restart. Don't add them back in. Let's have a new set.
Let's do some American Idol shit, you know. Let's have like people call in and vote to like to elect people. Let's do it city by city. We'll hold like like these like sessions like in different cities where we get like the smartest people to come and compete, and then they
No,
move on, and then we have like a final.
no. I've had this theory, this concept of how to vote or whatever, and people didn't understand it or like that's impossible or whatever because in order to do something they have to be in office first. But I go, we don't do that system in anything else that we do in like careers. We don't say that we're gonna do our job and then or like I want to be the employee of the month, but I haven't even earned it yet. That you should vote for me to be employee of the month. And then
Okay,
like what the fuck? Like no, you earn your employee of the month when you do the shit that you say you're gonna do and you did it. Like not the reverse way around and oh I didn't do what I said I was gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm still employee of the month though.
okay. Here's a system, okay? And I'm probably gonna get some of it wrong. And so if you are watching this after the live show, let me know in the comments if I got it wrong. I if I remember correctly, my parents live in Switzerland. If I remember correctly, their electoral system is they have several parties and they vote, and each one has different stances on the issues. So people vote for the party. They don't vote for like one president. Each party has like I think it's 7 representatives, and so all of these 7 representatives come up with all of these policies for the entire party. So people get like I don't know, like let's say 3 different parties, and each party has 7 of these presidents. Then I
Hey,
don't know what they're called, probably prime ministers, maybe something like that. And so I think it's every year one of them takes the lead and lets the others take like a lower seat, and then they
yeah,
swap, and it goes through the process of all of those until the next election. So it's like very diverse group of people, and they don't have like extreme one side or the other side. It's kind of like in the middle, like most of the parties are kind of like in the middle, and like it works really well. Like they have systems that have, like I said, healthcare is like one of the basic rights, education, like they have like really good environmental laws and all of that. So it works pretty well, it seems. That would be like my suggestion.
Well,
Something
people would argue that
not
it's
exactly
such a
that,
larger
but
nation that it wouldn't work. That's what people would argue, probably, right?
mhm.
They'd be like,
mm,
well,
I
they'll be like, yeah,
suppose.
it may work on a smaller scale country, but not in the U.S. I'm just saying that's what people would argue. But I'd like to see I'm sure you could analyze that to see, if you put these type of systems in place in the U.S., let AI analyze it and tell us if it would work.
Yeah, like look at the different countries that we
Yeah.
know have like some of the what we are consider like, I mean, Switzerland. Nobody has anything bad to say about Switzerland, right?
I
So
do.
or
No, just
like
kidding.
I'll say, go ahead, Greg.
No,
Let's
no,
hear
no. I
it.
was just kidding.
don't bad.
Oh
Or like
man.
I don't know, Sweden or stuff like that. Like you don't really see them in the news like pretty much anything too bad about them. Like if it's something, it's probably very small. Like their homelessness levels are really low. Their poverty levels are really good. Like low poverty levels. It's like there are systems that work, and
Yeah,
we've been doing something wrong forever, and it's like we can't quite get it around our heads that it is wrong, and there are other people that are doing it better.
Well,
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
it is. I think our system can work, but it's like what Greg pointed out earlier. We're too busy like fighting with each other that we're using our system against ourselves. Basically, the party systems are the two party system is using it against each other
yeah. And
to
I
keep
hate to
power.
say this. I hate to say this as like the Bible has something right, but like using it outside of theism is like what like Jesus said, like if like that like divide itself, it won't stand, right? You know, like Jesus, if Jesus was the devil, right, and he's attacking demons, the house won't stand because they're divided. But like the same concept stands if our system is divided, it's not going to stand. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
I
we
see
need
that.
more than that two party system. Whatever we're doing is no longer working. So it's
But
time we.
the government wants the two party system. They like it that way. They
Yeah.
like us doing what hating each other, and they
Yeah.
don't
Well,
want to do
yeah,
anything
it
different.
keeps control. Yeah,
Mhm.
it keeps
Yeah,
them
they
under
want
control.
control.
Well, it seems like the only way around it is an uprising. You
Yeah,
know?
and that's what again. I think that's what they want. They want an uprising so they
Like
can
you said
attack.
earlier. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
it probably wouldn't work because they would use it against those
yeah.
people, and yeah, unfortunately, they would
And
be the ones that
the
would be
other thing
harmed.
is that go against it is if they don't attack, the only reason why they would change is only to benefit themselves. You know,
Yeah,
Yeah, like you said earlier, the government normally functions based on doing things or putting systems in place that benefit
basically
themselves. Yeah.
narcissistic, right? So it's like they only care about themselves, and like they'll only do it, be nice to you if they get something out of it. You know, it's not to be nice to you just because they want to be nice. No, they want benefits from it.
yeah, it's crazy, man. I don't know what the solution is, but yeah,
Hello.
what's up?
Yeah, I was listening to the whole time. I had to take Hercules outside, but I was thinking like
Please.
The
honestly,
dog.
Yeah, I know.
honestly, honestly, I think we're gonna go extinct. The human race is gonna go extinct. We've seen it with the Roman Empire, the Byzantine Empire, the Shanghai dynasty. We're just gonna kill our like we're gonna nuke ourselves. So I'm
That's
just
Yeah.
the
gonna
thing. That's the thing. Like America has been considered the top leader in the world, right? Like the biggest world power. And
for now.
once you get to the top, there's nowhere to go but down. And that's where we're going. That's
Yeah.
where we're headed. We're heading
Okay.
down.
Well, I think
So
history shows all great nations eventually fell and rebuild. So I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, all of the greatest empires fell. So I mean,
That's so scary.
is it
But I
inevitable that we're gonna be in another world war? I mean,
yeah, but I mean, somebody else is just gonna take over. That's it.
yeah,
It's how it's been throughout the entire
like a
entire
repeat.
history.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
constantly repeating.
Humans suck.
For
That
real.
we can all agree on.
But what I think AI would be good for, like used for a good purpose, is like how I see it is uh, like AI astronauts or whatever that don't need resources in a ship. They just keep shooting them off like seeds, or you know, like nature does, like with plants or whatever, and the seeds go everywhere, right? If we can do this with AI, which I know it's expensive and we don't have the money to do it, but the if we did and whatnot, the usage of AI should be like AI astronauts and just shoot them everywhere in all directions constantly, you know, to get more information, you know.
I think he's going to the restroom or something. He'll be right back.
Yeah.
I see him going out the door. Wait, let me
But
see.
yeah,
Oh, he's okay. Yeah, yeah, he went to the restroom. Um, yeah, I don't know about it. Have you guys seen the show called The 100?
oh, I think Caitlin
Yeah.
has. Caitlin has.
Okay. So basically, they send 100 young people into space. For anybody that hasn't watched it,
Mhm.
I won't tell the whole thing, okay? But they send like the best 100 people into like a spaceship that will keep them alive. And I think it's like around 90 something years later,
Yeah,
they wake them up and they send them back down to Earth once the whole war has passed and like everybody has been destroyed. Well, they think everybody's been destroyed. That's the kicker.
oh no, I think what I'm thinking of is like the 1400 or
Yeah,
something.
you've seen it.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, this one's like a
yeah. I was like
sci-fi
the people that came
futuristic.
back.
Heroes, I think. Was,
Not
Okay.
well. I'm not thinking
no,
heroes,
no.
but yeah, the 1400 is why the people that come back that everyone thought they were dead, and then they're not themselves, and people can tell that they're not right, you know, and they
Okay.
figure out they're like clones or something like that. But yeah,
Oh, yeah, that's different. Yeah,
yeah,
no,
that's
this
what I
one's
was
like
like. No, that's not what I thought the 100 was. But yeah,
okay.
but I
Yeah,
know history, right?
it's like a really long show. It's like 7 seasons or something like that. But it's like a pretty interesting take on it. And yeah, it was like a war on Earth, and it destroys. They basically everybody kills each other, and so all these 100 people had to come back and repopulate the Earth. And I
Which Adam
guess
and Eve.
I don't know. Maybe it's time we do that. Pick 100 people to go into space and then I was telling about the show, the 100,
Oh, that show
like
got crazy. Yeah.
how they send people to space, and then once everybody's been killed on Earth, they come back and
Yeah,
try to
repopulate.
repopulate. I was
Yeah,
like,
well,
let's do that.
I said Adam and Eve, and then but I was like also Lot and his daughters, or no, but
Well,
they
these are not related to each other, so
no.
it might be a
Well,
little
I mean,
different.
Adam and Eve were really related, so but Damien, go ahead.
Oh my goodness.
Crazy. This guy's a freak, huh?
Man, the Bible's a
oh,
freak, not me. I just read your freaking book, you know.
oh, man.
No, have you
Oh
seen this
man.
video? And, I've seen it on TikTok where I don't know the guy's name, but they're in like in a like like a stream thing like this or whatever, and it's just two guys, and one guy goes to the Christian or whatever. He goes, "Yeah, man, I was at like the bookstore and I picked up a children's book, and it had a father and their daughter has sex with their father." And he's like, "What? That's a children's book? That shouldn't be there." And he's like, "Dude, it's the Bible." He's like,
Oh my
"Calm down, it's
goodness.
the Bible." And he goes, "Oh, no, I'm not gonna talk religion with you, man." And he's
Oh,
like, "What? It's the
That's a good way to
Bible."
open the conversation.
yeah.
That's
Sure.
one way.
He was so against the Bible when he didn't know it was the Bible.
Yeah.
But then he closed it. That they put up a wall, and as soon as he realized it's a Bible wall.
Well, which two characters you're talking about?
Oh, you mean the two people that were having a podcast or whatever talking? I don't
No,
know
no,
their
no.
name.
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
the dad and the daughter in the Bible, because
oh,
I
lie,
am familiar with the story.
lie. Lot and his two daughters.
Who?
Everybody knows.
Lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Lot.
No. Okay.
Lot and his
Yeah.
two daughters. The daughters
Yeah.
raped their father because they thought
They.
there was no one
Yeah.
Yeah,
left.
he knows. You know that
Yeah,
story because you told me about it, Damien.
I know that
yeah.
story.
So
Yeah, I know
ha.
that story.
About the bad
Either
girls.
time you might have not
Yeah.
known.
Everybody knows.
Really, yeah, that's kind of crazy. I
Hey,
completely
hey,
forgot about that story.
Damien doesn't know this, but like when I go to church and whatnot, like my target is to talk to the pastors, not really the congregation, but I'll do that too if they consent, as well as the pastors consent. But I find out that the pastors don't know much more than the congregation, and that's shocking. That surprises me because I end up teaching the pastors the Bible. It's crazy.
No, yeah, that's true, man.
Yeah.
There's people that's kind of, I don't know if you don't know this about me, man, but I am Christian. I believe in God, but I have had a falling with the church. I just don't support the church,
Yeah.
and it's
Yeah. I'm not.
pastors,
Yeah.
leaders,
Go ahead.
I know, man, it's kind of
Yeah. I know. Well, from what they told me, I have an understanding of your position, but like you don't know me per se. So like,
Yeah.
my experiences what I do and what I've experienced. So like, I was telling you a little bit of that, you know, and how crazy, how bizarre I think it really is. You know.
Yeah. Well,
Uh,
I was gonna say something else.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go ahead and say it,
what?
man. What do you got?
I was gonna say something else, but I
Go
can't say.
ahead. Go ahead.
What were you talking about, Lamb, before?
The before going to church and talking to pastors and whatnot, was that I think it was the lot and the two daughters, right?
Before that. Before that.
Before that, the
I don't
reason
know.
why I said that was because
Yeah.
she said the show 100 and had to
Oh,
repopulate, and I go
repopulation.
Adam and
Yeah,
Eve
yeah,
and
Yeah.
Lot and his two daughters. You know,
Oh
yeah.
yeah, we were talking about like incest,
Yeah.
basically.
yeah.
I remember now. I remember what I want to say.
Okay.
Okay,
I feel
go.
like we should send people of all races, all genders, all sexualities,
And put them on a boat,
a
two by
hundred
two.
people, 100 of them, and let them all get high together. I think so.
Can I go?
Can I?
Some mushrooms, a little bit of
Yeah.
LSD.
Maybe they'll come back and solve like half of the world's problems.
I think so.
I
Yeah,
think they would too.
I think
Yeah.
so. Like, why the
Do
fuck we have
like
two
a
planets?
social experiment.
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
would be interesting. Like completely cut them off society. Like they no no religious books of any kind, no political television of any kind, so that they cannot go either
yeah.
way. Like they only have to go in with whatever they already
What they have
believe, think,
next.
They go in with
right?
their brain, and that's it.
What's in their head, like
Yeah.
nothing else.
That would be
Yeah,
That
interesting.
would be
Yeah.
interesting.
I'll
Yeah,
volunteer. When are we going?
let's go.
but high though. We got to do it high for sure.
I'm always high. No, just kidding.
Oh man.
But to relate to
Just
that,
kidding.
though,
No.
but to relate that to that without drugs and whatnot, that's kind of like what I like to do and what I talk to like Christians or pastors or atheists alike, but like mainly them is like I'm trying to figure out what's inside their head, right? What they remember, how the Bible goes, and so normally I would go and say like, okay, this story, how do you remember this story going, right? And then they'll say it, and I'm like, well, this is how I remember the story, and I'll say it, and then I'll go, okay, now that now we have we have the same story, but we're telling it differently, right? And and which one of us is telling the correct story, right? And then once we get to that point, then we should go to the Bible and relearn what the Bible actually says, because what's in our head can be like forgotten or a false memory or whatever, and you might not even have the right story from the start. But just to practice what you already have in your brain and try to figure out what you think is true, and then try to correct where the flaws or the incorrections are. And that's how I think that this is how I think people need to learn. You know,
Yeah,
And
I
and
like
I
that.
think I think that should be applied to everything,
yeah,
religion,
Yeah, yeah.
politics,
Yeah.
education, everything.
yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, like we hold so many beliefs that are, incorrect or faulty, or like we are just holding on to them because our parents told us about it or stuff like that.
mm,
So on Wednesday we're gonna have another show with one of the people that were watching the show earlier. Let's see, that is Captain Dusk. His name's Dave, so he's gonna be on the show. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna watch some videos of how of Bible stories, but for kids. So we're looking
mm,
at them how they are presented to young people, and then we are gonna compare the adult version, because a lot of people don't really read the Bible as adults. They only remember what they were taught as kids, and so they have a very sugar coated, washed version of that story in their minds. And that carries unto adulthood, and they continue believing that story to be as it was told in their childhood. So we're gonna like basically explore both of the story versions, the kids version versus the word by word version. Yeah, what's up?
So, what comes to mind when I think of like child version and then the adult version kind of thing is like a lot of people like if you were to say, how do you remember the David and Goliath story, right? It'd be like, yeah,
Mhm.
he threw the sling, killed Goliath, and blah 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 blah. And basically, that's like the highlights of it or whatever. And then they kind of end there, and then be like, do you remember David decapitating Goliath? And they're like, what? I go, yeah, you don't remember that? So, like, because like they don't tell you this in church, and you don't really read the Bible, and so you don't really know what David actually did other than just kill him. He took Goliath's sword and then cut his head off and then like raised it, right, and showed everybody, you know. And then I think he also got the foreskins and such like that. I think some people know about that or whatever, you know, but like a lot of majority of the people don't know about the decapitation part, you know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and that follows to like the question I asked for people is like, if you would you read the Bible all the way through without skipping to your kid, like even though you know it has all these rated R parts in it, are you willing to read it to your kid like that, you know? And if you say like it's a trap, and essentially there's a, like I say trap, but like it's a, there's not a right answer if you say yes or no, you know, because if you say yes and like you would really read a rated R book to
Yeah,
your
to your child.
child.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but not. But and if you say yes, but not watch let your kid watch rated R movies, you know, so you're not consistent there. But
Yeah,
like
it's
if
being
you
a hypocrite,
don't,
yeah.
then you're not telling them the whole story, you know, and you're only cherry picking and sugarcoating it and whatnot. So you're sheltering them. So there's not a good answer for them to say yes or no, you know.
Yeah, there's two. Um, so we are headed into 3.5 hours. I'm gonna wait for Damien to come back, and I was gonna ask some because earlier you brought up the trolley problem, and I was like, oh, I asked AI to make a couple. I thought we could. I thought it would be funny.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, while we wait for Damien to come back, I'm gonna put on real quick on screen the or shows that are coming up soon, so I can show people about it. All right, so on Wednesday, like I said, at 6 p.m., we're gonna have Captive Desk, aka Dave. That's gonna come talk about the kid stories versus the real stories of the Bible. I haven't actually picked exactly. I have a couple in mind, but I need to find the videos for them. Um, then next week on May 13th. Oh, that's actually my mom's birthday. I didn't realize. At 5 p.m., we are going to have D from the Apostasis Mom podcast. That's like their whole name. So I met Stacy and D online, through the 80s community, and D and I have a lot of stuff in common. So we were like, hey, you know what? We should do a show together because she seems really really cool, and I'd like to get to know her a little bit better. And so we're gonna talk about that. And then in June, at the end of June, I'm really excited to have Richard Gilliver back on, the Welshman. Nah, I'm kidding. He's Scotsman. He's gonna kill me if he knows that I call him a
You
Welshman.
said that.
And Scott Dickey, and we're gonna talk because when at our last show that we had before this one, which was with Chase Avior about vegan activism. After the show, Joe had a lot of questions, and we were talking about whether animals have can make, ethical decisions, or if they have morality, or like how do they make the choices that they make, or whether it's instinct. So we're kind of like gonna discuss all that. And Richard actually has some very strong views on veganism, so he's gonna share that with us as well.
It should be a great show. I'm looking
It
forward to
should
that.
be
And
really
I've
interesting.
only I've never been on a show with Scott either, so I'm looking forward to being on the show with Scott.
I
He
think
was
animals.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, you did meet him in Austin, so
Well, yeah, and I was gonna say, and I briefly he came on the birthday show
yeah,
we
just
did
for a
for
little
Kelly
bit.
as well for maybe like 5 minutes. So yeah.
Yeah. So, but he's a pretty cool guy. I got to hang out with him on the boat, so I got to know him a little bit better. Um. Okay, so Damien, when you left, we were saying that Sacrificial Lamb brought up the trolley problem earlier. You're familiar with that, right? The trolley
With
problem.
the David versus Goliath, I heard.
Oh, no,
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 no. It's
no.
okay.
No,
It's
wait,
like
wait.
it's like a
I think before he showed
philosophical.
up,
Was that? Oh, yeah, no, no. This is like a different thing. Yeah, he mentioned the trolley problem, which is. I was asking if you're familiar, if you know what the trolley problem is. It's like a
No.
philosophical dilemma, basically. So let me see. Uh,
Okay.
Well, it's basically you have to choose like
yeah.
say
So
you're on a runaway trolley and like if you go to you choose A, then you'll kill, like 2 people. If you choose B, you'll kill 6 people, right? Something like that,
Yeah.
if I remember correctly.
yeah, that's the one. So let me see real quick if I can find this super quick video that we can watch to explain it
Yeah, that would
better.
be great.
Let's see. It's like an ethical decision making tool. I guess you could call it a tool to help you figure out right from
after
wrong.
the video, I have a comment though. I don't want to ruin or like interrupt your video, but I have a comment on it that I didn't say before.
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, right now?
Oh, wait, you mean while we watch it? I guess. Okay.
Oh, oh.
I don't know. I mean, did you find the video, AJ, or are you still looking?
Oh yeah, I found one. Gonna share it. Okay, there we go. Hold up. There we go. Okay. Trying to see the thing. Right.
A runaway train is heading towards 5 workers on a railway line. There's no way of warning them, but you're standing near a lever that operates some points. Switch the points, and the train goes down a spur. Trouble is, there's another worker on that bit of track too, but it's 1 fatality instead of 5. Should you do that? Many people think the right thing to do would be to switch the points, to sacrifice 1 to save 5, since that produces the best outcome possible. Now imagine the train heading for the workers again. This time it can only be stopped by pushing a very large man off a bridge. His great bulk would stop the train, but he'd die. Should you do that? Most people say no. But why not? Both thought experiments are cases of sacrificing 1 to save 5. What the trolley problem examines is whether moral decisions are simply about outcomes or about the manner in which you achieve them. Some utilitarians argue that the 2 cases are not importantly different from each other. Both have similar consequences, and consequences are all that really matter. In each case, 1 person dies and 5 are saved, the best option in each harrowing situation. But lots of people say they would switch the points, but they wouldn't push the man off the bridge. Are they simply inconsistent, or are they onto something?
All right. So yeah,
Oh,
it's basically like making a decision about.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
he wanted to say something that he didn't say
yeah.
earlier. That's what he
Oh,
was.
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
after watching the video, I have 2, but like, one is like, with politics of, like, it's basically a track in a loop that keeps doing the same thing over and over. But I'll get to that in a minute, of more detail of what I mean. To not forget the other one is like what came to mind. Uh, the video didn't make me think of this, or what it said didn't cause me to think this. It just reminded me of what I already thought. is I like the trolley experiment, sorta trolley experiment of what Joker did in Dark Knight. We're having the two boats of criminals and civilians. They both had to choose to blow up each other's boat, right, in order for them to live, right. That essentially the trolley experiment. They could have chose to blow each other up to save themselves, but they decided that they were given two options. But they thought of a third option that was not given to them, and it was to not to blow them up and just not do anything and allow themselves to be blown up by the other person. However, the other people also did the same exact thing, doing nothing, and ended up not killing anybody. However, they were both going to blow up, not based off of not doing anything, but because this third party who was Joker was going to blow both of them up.
Yeah, no matter
So it
what.
had
Yeah.
nothing to do with their choices. It was all an illusion of choice. That's one thought that I had at that point. So yeah, just because something gives you two options doesn't mean that's the only options that you have. You just haven't thought about it long enough. I'm sorry, Damien. I'll get to that in a minute. I'm trying not to forget the first part. The first one is before he played the video was the cycle. The train is in a loop, right? Every 4 years, it's going to go back to this scenario, right? Like of one person versus 4, 5, 10, or multiple people, right? But like we know, like the first time, because of time and what not essentials, but what I forgot what the word I used, but uh, things that are useful, right? I forgot the word, but thing,
Utilitarianism.
no, but utility or whatever, right?
Oh yeah.
So that's not the word that I was looking at, but whatever. But
Okay.
it's like you have time and resources, right? And but if just the first time you don't have enough time to think and it's happening already, but if you know it's a loop system, right, and you know it's going to come back, you have time to think about how to plan this out before it comes back again. And if you don't have enough time at that moment, you still know you have time before it comes back again. Every 4 years, this happens, but we're still not creating a third track. Like I said before earlier, that why
Okay,
not
so
make another track?
you're
Why
relating it
not
to the political system. Okay, I got you. I
yeah,
get it now.
why not try to find a different solution to guide the train somewhere else? We keep going back to this track of two tracks of division, and we're choosing those two things. But we
Yeah,
have
like
the first two times, whatever that we screwed up and we made wrong decisions, but we have enough time before the clock of 4 years comes back again to figure out how to direct this train somewhere else that isn't those two tracks. We have
Is
time and resources to change this track, but we don't necessarily need to keep using it to get back to those two tracks.
that's a really good point. Like basically, we are not, we haven't so far in like all of the past elections taken the time and the effort to make sure that we find a good third party candidate that's gonna be in the middle, because there have been, obviously, yeah, there have been other third party candidates, but we've never found one that's good enough to beat the main two systems. Yeah.
And it might not be third party for
Or
whatever
four,
the
whatever,
other
yeah.
options, but yeah, it has to be multiple options, not just limited to two, or maybe not those options in that way, but find a different option a different way. I don't know what that means, but like think differently, think outside the box, stop being confined to only thinking that this is the only way to do shit.
Yeah.
Find different ways, you know. But Damien, yes.
Yeah. So from what y'all are saying, at the end of the day, the like third parties fourth, whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
they don't do good because there has been third parties like AJ said, but they just don't have the funding. Nobody wants to fund them. It's
Hmm.
either Democrat or Republican, and there's no in between. You know.
And so
So we need a rich atheist.
yeah. So let's try not. Maybe we don't. Why like I don't know. I'm just talking shit, but like, if funding is what it is to get the person elected, and or whatever, like let's not do it based off of funding or whatever. I don't know, but like, don't get money involved in it, or what. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's like, someone said, someone I think I was talking on TikTok once, and it was this guy said the only reason why Trump got elected this time is because Elon supported him or gave him funds or whatever. And I go, so you're telling me if what you say is true, if it sounds believable, but granted that this is true, you're telling me that you're even though you said that voting matters or whatever, you just told me voting doesn't matter because someone rich fought and supported him and funded him in order to get him to be elected. So you're telling me the money got him to where he's at, not the votes. So it's all the funding.
Yeah.
So you're even making another argument for me for to say, why not to vote? The vote
Well,
should go to him.
the money is used to sway
I,
the vote. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it
But
buys,
it
it
is true
sways the
though.
yeah.
They did
I don't.
use it. They used it to fund all of these social media platforms
Yeah, but I was gonna
and
say, I think it's social media is a huge pinpoint. I mean, Elon having ownership and taking over Twitter and changing it to X under the assumption that he was gonna make it equal, that free speech was being blocked on it, and then he goes and does like the opposite basically, and like
yeah,
he pushed like the right wing conservative agenda on X,
yeah,
and I think he did that, because yeah, Trump paid money to him. He was able to get money from it. I
Mhm.
don't know. Social media can manipulate. I mean, you're looking
Mhm.
at media manipulation. Social media is a huge form of manipulation,
Right.
and it can sway the vote in a certain direction like very
And,
easily.
and the government uses all sorts of manipulations of all types of warfare. Like all the warfares that you can think of, they're using it. You know, psychological
Yeah,
warfare
yeah.
and blah blah blah. All that. Like they're using it to manipulate your mind and how you think. Once you realize the how they're using it, you can identify when they're doing it.
Yeah, yeah. I agree with that. Yeah.
uh, that's a good point.
And if you know and acknowledge that they're using these warfares, then and knowing that it manipulates people and how they think, they're really not being fair or not doing the system properly or righteously or whatever in order for you to get a clear vote, like a clear mindset of vote. You know, they're brainwashing you in such a way to vote a certain way.
Yeah. Well, sometimes we
Yeah,
don't even realize that the manipulation's happening. It's just based off like stuff that
Brainwashing.
pops up on your feed, and you may just scroll through it, but you still recognize it,
Yeah.
and without even
Subliminal
realizing it.
brainwashing,
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
form of
Subliminal. That's
brainwashing.
that's what I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah,
Subliminal.
yeah.
but it's
All right,
that's
guys.
a form of brainwashing, isn't it? So
Yeah. Yeah.
True. Okay, guys. I'm really enjoying the conversation, but I know everybody has to go to work tomorrow,
mhm.
so I think we should
I could talk
probably.
forever.
Yeah.
I
No. No.
know,
We.
no, it was so much fun.
We need to have
We,
you on again,
yeah, we
Sacrifice
should
Yeah.
Lamb.
definitely.
I enjoy our conversation. So yeah, definitely.
I
Really
had
It's
good.
so
been
fun joining.
like these. We've almost been on for 4 hours. It feels like we just started talking like an hour
Right.
ago. Like
I know,
really.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's cool. All right, so I was saying, we're gonna have more shows this week and next week, so hopefully everybody will be joining us for those. Appreciate you guys, hanging out with us for the honesty, for being so open and respectful as well of everybody having, like everybody here had different views and different perspectives, but we all respected each other. Uh, I didn't have to bring out the whip and beat anybody up. So that's a good day.
That's always a plus, right? I don't know.
Joe was probably like, I want
I was
you.
like,
I want you to
the
take.
I
night's still
think
young. It is my birthday, so.
Happy
I think they're
birthday!
having flashbacks probably.
No.
Yeah.
Oh
Like,
man.
it never doesn't recognize the man.
Well, it's been
So
awesome, everybody. Damien, you want to tell them where we can find you on your content, or you don't want to? You want to throw that out there?
the
You can start now.
cousin
Yeah.
craziness sometimes.
Yeah, we have a channel, cousin craziness on TikTok. It's very crazy. He does fishing content, catching monsters on YouTube. Y'all should check him out. He actually has some really cool outdoor stuff that he posts.
Yeah, and you sacrificial lamb. What about you?
I
You're
don't
on.
have really much going on. I just do TikTok, but like I don't even create much of anything, much of content. I just try to find people to talk to people in the comment section most of the time, or repost things. But I'm very busy most of the time, so the things that I like to do, like make videos with this guy or whatever, I don't have any. I have like one or two, you know, and so. But I wish I had the time to play around with this guy.
Well, he's
You
welcome
seem.
back on our show with you anytime. So.
Yeah, he looks like a pretty cool guy. So
Yeah. And it's a
if
lamb, Damien. It's not a goat. It's Jesus. If you don't know, it's Jesus.
Jesus,
The
Jesus.
sacrificial lamb.
Jesus.
Yeah, we
Yes.
renamed him Jesus for today for Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah. Cinco de Mayo.
He had to get a Spanish name. All right, guys. So whether you vote on the or don't vote, you still need need we still need to change the system. That's something that we can all agree on right now. That no matter, like I said, whether you voted or not, we all agree that it's not working. Um, I mean, I think as a society, all of us together, we can figure something out one day, hopefully, very soon before the empire falls. And
Before the
let's
AI take over. No, just
Yeah,
before
right,
AI
right.
takes over. Exactly. So yeah, let's hope that we don't see that happening in our lifetime, or hopefully not our kids' lifetimes either. I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see. Stay tuned. No.
Yeah, stay tuned for the next conversation. All right. Thank you
Good night,
guys for hanging
everybody.
out with us, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to like, subscribe to everybody's channels, and do the things, comment, help the
All of the
algorithm.
above. All of the above.
Right. We'll see you around. Be a good human out there.